I swear I got they all now. These bitches not so oh, and I know that. Fucking with the old boys, you gon' get fucked over. Rarries and Rovers, these hoes love she Sosa. Hit her with that Cobra, now the boys stopped over. They do it off for Sosa, you boys ain't making no noise. Y'all know what my grown boy, your clip full of bro boys. God, y'all some robots, God, y'all some robots. We GBE dope boys, we got lots of dope boys. Don't make me call you Rose boy, he 6 double low boy, and he keep that pole boy. You gon' get fucked over. Bitch, I done so soda, and I done so coca. She gon' clap for Sosa, he gon' clap for.
You already know what the fuck is good. I just popped a Zen now. I feel like RFK Jr. Oh, fuck. We live. We alive. It's motherfucking crash out. Goddamn economics in this motherfucker. Right the fuck now. I don't know who need to hear this, but I'm sending this link out. Man, we got some crazy ass motherfucking news right the fuck now. All y'all niggas tap in. We live early today. Let me just type this in. Alright, so we got some crazy ass motherfucking news as per fucking usual. What we got? So we got a CIA agent that apparently lied about his credentials, what school he went to, and everything, just like a CIA agent would do, as you would suspect. Basically, and stole $40 million in gold bars. We got Joe Biden apparently thinking that Joe Biden had a stroke during his famous 2024 debate where he tweaked the fuck out and basically lost the election because he pretended he was all good for 4 years when he was like pretty much probably in a diaper getting fed oatmeal or some shit like that. What else we got, man? We got US and Iran apparently just say that they announced a 60-day ceasefire, or almost close to a 60-day ceasefire. But at the same time, Iran's still striking US bases and assets in the region as per usual. We got Trump weaponizing the DOJ and investigating his rape victim, Eugene Carroll. It's a whole bunch of fuck shit going on. And apparently US troops are stationed and ready to motherfucking, they're ready to, what's it called? Damn, I should have put in my Bluetooth headphones earlier. Apparently, U.S. troops are stationed and ready to invade Cuba. Whole bunch of shit like that. Let me just make sure the sounds are point. Whole bunch of shit like that. Let me just make sure the sounds are point. Whole bunch of shit like check 1, check 2, check 3. Check 1, check 2, check 3. All right, we good. All right, let's get into this shit right now, man. Crash Out Economics. Appreciate everyone that tunes in. Appreciate everyone that watches the VOD after the fact. What you got to do is, if you're on YouTube, make sure you sub up. If you're on Twitch, make sure you sub up also, you know. Give a free sub. Use Jeff Bezos' bald head ass money to, you know, support the cause and independent creators and shit like that. Because we are not being funded by any government agencies or any government PACs or APAC or any of that weird shit. You know what's going on, man. It's Crash Out Economics. Let's get into this crazy ass news. And we're going to make this shit a little smaller. And we're going to make this shit square this time. You know? Oh, fuck. I think I'm going to make this shit square this way. Yeah. I'm streaming a little early today. I'm trying some shit out. We're going to test the waters and see how this shit is. Twin. All right, let's go. I'm feeling in a very square mood today. Like I said earlier, I popped a Zen. I feel like RFK Jr. I'm glitching and shit. Let's get into this. The Iran war is a complete clusterfuck, as per usual. So apparently, there was supposed to be a ceasefire, but the U.S. basically struck Iranian boats, and we talked about that shit a little bit yesterday, but we were, you know, watching the Trump press conference where he was basically describing what happened a little bit live, where he was rambling for hours, probably fell asleep and the camera was like not on his face. We saw JD Vance's scalp and head and shoulders shampoo working and shit like that. It was weird, but now it looks like It's so weird because when the U.S. attacks boats in a preemptive strike, it's apparently a self-defense operation. But when Iran fights us back, it's apparently a motherfucking ceasefire violation. Let's see.
Of an egregious ceasefire violation.
Oh, is it now?
This is after Iran launched a ballistic missile toward Kuwait. That missile was intercepted by Kuwaiti forces.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention, Trump's about to be on the $250 bill. They're making a whole new bill for this motherfucker. So if you randomly just have $250 cash and need to exchange it, you can get a apparent sex offender, pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein alumni, a special edition $250 bill. And I'm not capping about that. We're going to talk about it more in detail later. But it looks like Trump is about to be on this $250 bill that he's apparently making the Treasury Department print out. Limited edition. You know, like how you could get like a $2 bill and it's lucky? You could get an unlucky $250 bill. And he has this face like, apparently, I mean, I'm going to get into more detail later, but, you know, there's rumors that he wears adult diapers and shits himself. And I feel like this is very on point with the look that he's giving now. It looks like he's holding it in, man. But you know what they say. Let it go, loved one. Let's go.
Kuwait's Ministry of Foreign Affairs called it a dangerous escalation. Now, U.S. officials say this attack came hours after Iran had, as it described, posed a clear threat by launching attack drones near the Strait of Hormuz.
So this is apparently 2 hours ago that this came out on CNN. But at 10:17 Eastern on May 27th, Iran launched a ballistic missile towards Kuwait that was successfully intercepted by Kuwaiti forces. The egregious ceasefire violation by the Iranian regime occurred hours after Iranian forces launched 5 one-way attack drones that posed a clear threat in and near the Strait of Hormuz. All drones were successfully intercepted by U.S. forces, which also prevented a 6th drone launch. What they don't talk about in this tweet, I know because we're doing tweets now to announce like war engagements, was the fact that we struck random ass boats in Iran and called them mine-laying boats with no evidence. You know how we move. America, like, it's not even a question. The fact we be like blowing up random boats in the Caribbean. You don't think we're gonna blow up some random ass boats in the Gulf? You know what it is. Let's go, though.
And CENTCOM says that U.S. forces intercepted those drones and launched its own attack and prevented another drone from launching from a site in Bandar Abbas. Iran says that it then launched a retaliatory attack targeting an unmanned U.S. base. Now, just to sum up, what ceasefire is a good question to be asking this morning.
No such thing as a ceasefire, gang. But yeah, they attacked an unmanned U.S. base. And if I were to guess, throughout this, only 13 U.S. soldiers have apparently died from this war that's been ongoing for like the past couple months. But we honestly think that the numbers are way higher. You know, we got to put the numbers up higher. We don't know how many people are dead yet, but it's just 13 people in this whole fucking situation, when early on in the war, we were seeing people literally posting like X videos of motherfucking drones coming into U.S. bases and filming it. We haven't seen a lot of those recently because there's been like a ceasefire going on. But yeah, it seems like they're firing back and forth.
Meanwhile, just moments ago, Iran's supreme leader is now speaking out, praising the strength of the Iranian people and now calling for greater unity. CNN's Kevin Liptak is at the White House. Kevin, there's a lot of moving parts this morning. Start with, I don't know, what the message we just heard from U.S. Central Command.
Yeah, and I think bottom line, it all adds up to a lot of questions about how these two sides are going to come up with any kind of deal, despite the president's, recent optimism that
it's crazy because this is 8:02 a.m. I think at around 9 a.m. Eastern time, they announced that they are close to coming to a 60-day deal that Trump just needs to sign on. And this is how it goes every single fucking week. At the end of the week, there's some crazy shit that happens during the week. Then the weekend, he tries to say, like, look, we're doing a deal to calm down the oil markets. And in doing so, like, he's just trying to make sure that the oil markets don't go crazy, so the gas prices don't go insane, because he doesn't want a hog rebellion. MAGA, that's the one thing that they give a fuck about. They give a fuck about the gas prices and inflation. They give a fuck about the Epstein files, which we still haven't seen all of them yet.
In the right direction. This all is very clearly on quite shaky ground as both sides accuse the other of violating the ceasefire, as both sides appear to harden their negotiating positions. It is not at all clear how this is going to be resolved. You know, CENTCOM saying that this ballistic missile that Iran fired in retaliation towards Kuwait is, quote, an egregious ceasefire violation. You have had officials over the last several weeks.
It's crazy to have a ceasefire violation in a ceasefire that didn't exist, you know? That shit is kind of crazy if you think about it.
Describing these skirmishes as something more minor, something that doesn't necessarily violate the ceasefire, even though it's become evident that the firing is not ceasing in any way. And just to give you a little bit of a tick-tock of how this all unfolded overnight, the U.S. detecting Iran firing these one-way drones towards a commercial vessel in the Strait of Hormuz. They take those drones out. They also take out the ground facility that they say was preparing to fire an additional drone. And
how did they know exactly that the ground facility was about to fire an additional drone? We do not know. We're just going to have to take their words for it.
Then Iran responding by firing this ballistic missile. This is the second incident that we've seen occur in the Strait of Hormuz just in the last 48 hours. It does raise some questions about the capabilities that Iran has retained over the course of this conflict, despite President Trump's claims that Iran has been...
Yeah, if you were tuned in yesterday, then you probably heard Trump was saying that we destroyed their Navy, we destroyed their Air Force, but they don't give a fuck about that shit because they have drones, and apparently, like, they're obviously not running out of drones. They're basically flying lawnmowers that cost about $5,000 each. So imagine, like, a whole country with an oil industry that's pretty strong and was making billions of dollars over the course of this war until the U.S. did the blockade. And in doing so, they basically can easily make these drones. They're like the price of like a 2008 Prius.
Obliterated militarily. You see them digging out some of the missile launch sites. You see them maintaining the drone facilities along the strait, continuing their ability to cause havoc in that waterway, which when you talk to officials behind the scenes is...
which we still haven't opened. And basically the framework, there's like a 10-point plan right now that Trump is afraid of accepting because he's going to look like he's taking a huge L. And Iran is never going to let go of the strait. And we've said this probably like 1,000 times on this broadcast over the past couple months, but they're not going to let this shit go. And it doesn't take much for them to clog up the strait. All they have to do is just, the threat of firing drones, the threat of firing missiles is enough to disrupt oil flow throughout the strait. And it's just kind of interesting how that works because we have a blockade on their drone blockade of the strait. But still, Iran was able to let, like, in the past couple of days, like 20 or so ships through. And yeah, let's see what they got to say, though.
Concern. And so all leading to some complications on these ceasefire talks and these peace talks. We heard from President Trump yesterday, I think, really trying to appear reluctant, to seem overeager to reach a deal. He says that he doesn't concerned about...
He's just doing that for posturing. Like, he doesn't want to look like a loser, even though this war is already fucking lost. There's no objectives that have really been accomplished besides the fact that we killed an 86-year-old man that had cancer already and was probably about to die if the wind blew in the wrong direction and he fell over. But, they have to chalk up some type of W, but it's not looking like any W's are coming soon. So he's coming to terms with this, and he's not really even negotiating with Iran as much as he's negotiating with people like Lindsey Graham, people like the Israeli lobbies, people like Israel, trying to get them to chill the fuck out, because at the end of the day, I don't know, I think we played the clip, but yeah, we played it yesterday, but the hardliners in Israel basically said that they're not going to accept any deal without their co-signing it, which means it's going to be a terrible deal that they want, that they're able to still fight in southern Lebanon and still, be able to fight despite the fact that there's a ceasefire. So it's not looking like this shit's about to end anytime soon.
The midterms, he's not feeling any pressure. And in fact, threatening another country, the Gulf state of Oman, which is a top U.S. ally, if they get into a partnership with Iran to control the Strait of Hormuz.
With us now, CNN political and global affairs commentator Sabrina Singh. And as we look at the situation in the Strait, we can see here where the U.S. said it carried out a strike, and then there were also the ballistic missile shot at Kuwait. This doesn't sound like a ceasefire. Even CENTCOM
Now does it? Come on, man. It's not no
Iran committing a
ceasefire.
ceasefire violation.
We don't speak that shit.
What pressure do you think this puts on whatever peace discussions are happening?
Well, this is now the second time in 3 days that we're seeing an exchange of kinetic action between the two sides. Of course, you know, when the United States takes actions in their self-defense, it's considered in self-defense. And when Iran does it, it's considered a breach of the ceasefire.
That's what I was saying. We're the only country in the world where we can blow shit up and say it was in self-defense. That should be something that we should all be questioning, don't you think? That's a little crazy. But then when Iran blows up an unmanned U.S. base, it's an egregious ceasefire violation.
I think both sides, you know, continue to message to their particular audiences who is breaking the ceasefire and when. But no matter how you cut it, this is putting an immense pressure on the very fragile deal that is in place. I'm curious to see how this administration responds to Iran's, launch today of this ballistic missile towards Kuwait. But there's no question that this ceasefire is so fragile, and that an exchange of kinetic action in days to come could further fracture the ceasefire and potentially break it completely.
Yes. And this was a couple hours, like literally around the same time. I think it was before U.S. and Iran have reached deal, but Trump's final approval, officials say. Axios, which is currently, debatably like an Israeli news source at this point, has been saying the U.S. and Iranian negotiators have reached an agreement on a 60-day memorandum of understanding to extend the ceasefire that is, currently ongoing, that isn't really happening, and launch negotiations on Iran's nuclear program. But President Trump has yet to give his final approval to U.S. officials and a regional source involved in the mediation efforts, tell Axios. Iran has also not confirmed its acceptance. So then why are they posting this? Why it matters. The memorandum of understanding would be the most significant diplomatic breakthrough since the war started, but a final agreement that tackles Trump's nuclear demands would still require further intensive negotiations. This is an agreement to get everybody on the table. So it's an agreement for a pre-agreement. We'll work out the details in negotiation, one of the U.S. officials said. U.S. officials said terms of the deal were mostly agreed to as of Tuesday, but both sides still needed approval from senior leadership. But currently, it's not looking too good. Just saying.
The way that the president is talking about it could also have an impact. Of course, yesterday, while we were on the air, Iranian state media released what they say were, some of the points on the memo being discussed right now. In that said, the Strait of Hormuz would be open and under joint control with Iran.
And apparently this deal, like, they want the Strait of Hormuz open, and Iran will charge people going through. And Oman, which is like a mediator country, which is also pretty closely tied with the U.S., is gonna take some of the money too. Because why not? Everyone wants some money. But Trump is super pissed at that. He doesn't want them partnering, and he's been trying to say that, even though it seems that there's a new sort of order in this region, and Iran might become a real power player if they're able to, at the end of the day, throughout this deal, get money from this. They're going to be getting hella money injected into their economy, where they have a lot of inflation already. There's a real affordability crisis going on there with the way that we've been sanctioning the fuck out of them for the past couple of years. And then now everything is sort of blockaded through there, and they're not able to actually export oil too, but they're trying to get this money on real quick and basically turn into a new world power.
Oman, the nation here, actually, this
that
is
would be so
Oman
funny
right there.
if they did,
there,
all because we did this war
with Iran. There really borders the Strait of Hormuz. The president didn't seem to like the idea that Oman would be involved in any kind of partnership with Iran controlling the strait. Listen to what he said.
Nobody's going to control it. We're going to watch over it. We'll watch over it.
It's just also kind of funny because I think, I don't know, my memory might be a little bit iffy, but I'm pretty sure that, in early February, maybe February 27th, even up to that date, the strait was completely open and there was no disruptions in the flow of oil and natural gas. But after we basically killed a bunch of little girls in a school and bombed the Iranian head of state and pretty much fucked up the region, now like the strait is closed. So it's kind of our fault, and we're trying to fight for the strait to be reopened. So it's once again Trump fucking up, and then he wants us to be like patting him on the back once he fixes a situation that he put us in.
But nobody's going to control it. That's part of the negotiation that we have. They would like to control it. Nobody's going to control it. It's international waters, and Oman will behave just like everybody else, so we'll have to blow them up.
What? You say you're going to blow up Iran?
We'll have to
Oman?
blow him up. Now, that may have just been a joke. It may have just been an aside.
Nah, that's
Sabrina.
crazy. He said he was he's gonna shoot the middleman. I did not know he said that. That's
But a
crazy.
statement
That's
like
crazy
that,
as fuck.
How is that
That's
received in
wild.
the
That's
region?
not right. That's not right, man.
I mean, that was a shocking statement. We're certainly used to shocking statements from this president, but to attack one of our strongest allies in the region, I think we've had an agreement with
Attacking
Oman
our
since
strongest
1833.
ally?
I mean, this is one of our longest
We're moving
standing allies
deviously.
that has been critical, not just for our defensive purposes in the region, but also just with diplomatic ties.
Just the
And
way that he said that too is a little demented. Oman better behave, or we'll blow them up too.
getting towards this ceasefire. It's countries like Oman, Qatar, UAE, Saudi that have really urged the United States to take this ceasefire agreement. So insulting our allies like that, threatening to blow them up, doesn't help with our diplomatic ties, and frankly creates a lot of uncertainty in the region, because you might see countries like Oman say, okay, the United States is no longer a reliable ally. I'm going to cut a deal with Iran because at the end of the day, my economy is being impacted.
Dude, we're threatening to blow up our own allies in the Strait and their economies. We're destroying their economies. Then we're literally threatening to blow them up just because of the fact that we messed up the whole situation with the economy.
My
Wild.
military is being impacted. We just cannot sustain this war. And so you might see some countries want to cut a deal with Iran to just get the Strait open. Obviously, this is not what the administration wants. I hope that's not what the president intended. And I think what you're seeing from the president saying is it's not acceptable for either Iran or Oman to control that strait, because they want to go back to the status quo before the war, where there was a free flow of commerce through the strait and freedom of navigation.
I guarantee you that this plan, they thought it was going to be like Venezuela. They thought they were going to go in and basically, attack this country and then take it over, do some type of regime change, or just replace it with some random dude that they could find, or even insert some random guy that says that he's the de facto leader that lives in Maryland outside of DC, Reza Pahlavi, and basically turn Iran into a U.S. colony. That was what they thought they were going to do in like 2 business days. Turns out 3 months later, we posted up over here. Gas prices are crazy as hell right now. It's not looking too good.
Navigation was allowed.
Joining us now is CNN political and national security analyst David Sanger of the New York Times. David, thank you for being here. Just seeing as we've been talking about this fragile ceasefire, they call all of the actions defensive actions, not offensive actions, and saying that the ceasefire has been holding. But now seeing this from CENTCOM this morning, an egregious ceasefire violation. How in question do you think this is?
Well, first of all, when the United States does these strikes, they're defensive because they see something that's massing that might turn into an attack.
Dude, what is a defensive strike? That sounds like an oxymoron. Like that doesn't sound like it makes any sense. Unless you're pointing out how ridiculous that is, then maybe, but it sounds like you're co-signing this kind of ridiculous concept.
Attack on American forces, but as a threat. But when the Iranians respond, it's a ceasefire violation. And of course, the exact reverse when you hear the Iranians talk about it. So what do we have here? First of all, we have something of a stalemate, which is kind of where the Iranians wanted this to go, get the president, right? Because the president is not doing enough strikes back on Iran to make a difference, and as we've discussed before, even 30.
It's like a tit for tat right now. They're just bombing stuff, but it's like not really high scale bombing. Trump doesn't want to go any. It's kind of if you've ever heard of, I think it's Robert Pape. He's a professor at University of Chicago, but he has this thing coined called the escalation trap, where basically there's a ladder of escalation and you keep going up it. We went up the first couple rungs of the escalation ladder when we bombed their country. But then currently, it's like an escalation trap because Trump wants to keep bombing, and then he tries to chill out, tries to calm everything down. But then in order for the deal to not look that bad in his head, he thinks that bombing them will make them change their mind and be like, you know what, maybe we should loosen up how strict we want this 14-point plan. But it's not Iran, like, they don't care. Like, they're not the same as the U.S. where they have to worry about midterm elections and all this type of other shit, man. If a couple people die in a strike, I mean, they're probably just like, so be it. It's not like a huge amount of people. Life is going back to normal a little bit in Iran. Also, they just got their internet back. A lot of them are going back to school. A lot of them are going back to work and stuff in the main area. So it's like these type of attacks in these like southern regions aren't really affecting them that much to the point where they're actually going to let go of control over the Strait of Hormuz.
8 days of bombing didn't bring about what he wanted. He's trying to get this agreement, this one-page memorandum of understanding that he calls a deal. But what is it?
What is the deal? Because you can't say it's a nuclear deal. That
It's
is
not.
going to take a long time to negotiate if that would happen. What kind of deal is this?
So it's not a peace deal. It's not a nuclear deal. It's not a missile deal for the reasons you were just discussing.
So it's not a deal, is it? It's like a pretend deal. It's like a for the love of the game deal. No, it's basically just some shit to say so the oil markets don't go crazy.
What it would be a way to get the Strait open again. Now, the Strait, of course, was open before the United States and Israel did their attacks on February 28th. So it would be an effort to get back to the status quo before the attacks began. But that doesn't get to any of the American goals in...
If you're trying to attack people to get back to where the status quo was before this all started, and you haven't really accomplished any of your goals in the region, which you shouldn't be, like, the goals of this war are stupid as fuck in the first place. But it's like, if you haven't accomplished any of the stupid ass goals that you went out in the first place, then it's a total L. It's a major policy blunder.
The actual conflict, which were end the nuclear program, limit the missile program, bring about regime change, just going by what the president said the night that he started all of this. And I know they don't like to be reminded of what those goals are, but those are the goals. If the Iranians can get the U.S. into some kind of a reopening of the Strait, so they're getting their revenue again, and the American gas prices come down, that's in both their interests. But then you're into the exact kind of lengthy negotiation that led to the war to begin with.
And then there's also
That's
a question
true.
of, like, at what point of any negotiation...
Because we were in negotiations when this war started.
...are we at? Because the president, and you've described this so well, which is kind of the veering nature of his approach and the impact of it. They're very close to a deal. He is in no rush to get a deal. Iran is urgently begging for a deal, but now Trump, as he said, the president said during
They're not urgently begging for a deal, but Trump tries to say that they're begging for a deal, even though it seems like they're laid back, chilling, posted up,
meeting yesterday,
waiting,
describing
watching,
as having almost like the utmost patience. They can't outwait me, as he said. So is it clear where they are in the negotiation?
That's crazy though, because she basically quoted what Trump said, where he said he doesn't care about the midterms. Like, he's willing to wait for a deal that's good on his terms, on the American terms, which at the end of the day is bad for you, because at the end of the day, like, if he sits and waits, that just means gas prices are going to go up. We watched a video about the farmers in Nebraska saying that the fuel prices for diesel are going up. Fertilizer prices are going up. All these prices for everyday things like food, gas, utility bills are going to go up. And it's really just like, it doesn't affect Trump besides, you know, obviously major players in these industries hitting him up every day, probably calling him a bunch of mean things on the phone. But it hurts the American people altogether. And he doesn't really care about that shit at the end of the day.
Rubio says, you know, it's almost like they're quibbling over one word here, one word there.
Well, Secretary Rubio said that, but those words that they're quibbling over are actually to fundamental issues. So one of them is, what do you do with that stockpile of 970 pounds of near bomb grade nuclear material?
What did you think of that? That part, it was almost like glossed over a little bit yesterday when he was asked, like, would you be
that's a
comfortable
pretty
with,
big thing
with
to just
China
gloss
or
over.
Russia taking the nuclear material?
And he said no, which surprised me because on the plane back from China, he told us that this had been a subject of some conversation. I thought that what that meant was he wants the material in American hands, and I'm sure U.S. intelligence agencies want.
It doesn't matter who exactly has the material. At the end of the day, we're not getting the damn material. We're not gonna separate them from the material unless we give them some type of sanctions, like relief, or we could, if we don't give them sanctions relief, we can unfreeze the $24 billion that we basically took from them in the banking system.
That because there's a lot to be learned from how they've actually enriched this. What does it not get to? The other 11 tons of nuclear material that Iran has. So we just need to relentlessly focus on what was the problem we were trying to solve here. And that's been lost in all of this discussion about a one-page agreement. There's a reason it took the Obama administration 2 years to negotiate the accord that President.
Yeah, there's a reason why. And
the United States says it's carried out what it's calling defensive strikes against Iranian military targets. It's the second U.S. strike this week, despite a ceasefire.
But just to show you how things are going, Trump actually got laughed at by leaders of the Gulf because he's kind of flailing right now. He doesn't know what to do, obviously, because he's doing these attacks and shit. It's not really working. He's over the war. He doesn't want the war to keep going. He wants to focus on the UFC at the White House and like the Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Ballroom or the new statue that he put at Mar-a-Lago. He doesn't want to have to focus about this war and talk about this shit every day. He just wants to be able to sleep during press conferences and shit. But it seems that he's just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. And
let's move on to the press review.
Typical, you know what? Yep, you already know.
Now with Emily Boyle. Hi, Emily.
Good morning.
Emily, you're starting us off with coverage of Donald Trump and his attempts at getting a deal with Iran.
Yeah, let's start with Time magazine. It has this article here today looking at the Abraham Accords.
In his, like, basically throwing stuff at the wall. Sick ring nose retard. Oh my gosh. You're so cool. Oh my God. Yeah, it is pretty sick. Ring nose? Yeah, man. Nose ring. Yes. I mean, when it was in your mom's clit, it was kind of like going a little crazy. It's a vibrating nose ring, so you know that should be hidden different.
Explains that President Donald Trump seems to be hinging a peace deal with Iran on Arab nations recognizing Israel. Trump has reportedly reached out.
This motherfucker Trump, he really tried to have the Arab nations try to recognize Israel. And what happened? They laughed at this motherfucker. Is that your man's? Are you a pedophile lover? No, he isn't. Bro, why are you so mad? You really that mad over me hating on Trump? Let's see what Trump.
Two leaders in Saudi
Everyone else is laughing at him. So at the end of the day, it's like he's a little too liberal for you. You're a fucking Nazi. Oh, that's so fucking cool. That's so fucking cool, bro. I'm sure you get all the girls with that. Or if you're a gorper, I'm sure you get all the little cat boys with that shit. You fucking weirdo.
Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Pakistan, and many others asking them to sign these Abraham Accords. Now, there are a set of agreements.
Actually, Trump's a little too liberal for me. I'm a gorper Nazi. I don't go outside my house. I just watch catboy porn.
In 2020, which look to normalize relations.
I get your fat mother and auntie, bro. You so fucking lame. Some of those. I need to look at what the YouTube chat's saying. I'm surprised some of those Arab states hate Iran. Yeah, they hate Iran. I mean, a lot of these Arab states too, like they're just trying to kick back and get money. Like they don't want to fuck up the money like this shit. They don't want like the money to be molested in the way that Trump's doing it. They just want oil and natural gas to flow through the Strait of Hormuz and not to worry about that shit. But Trump is fucking up the bag for all these dudes. Bro, who the fuck is calling me? Iran sponsors terrorism across all the Arab states. I mean, dude, Yes, but you're going to talk about sponsoring terrorism like the U.S. isn't the greatest sponsor of terrorism. We fund fucking Israel. The fuck? We're going to talk about terrorism? If you knew anything other than CNN liberal, we're not even watching CNN first off. And if you're going to talk about the largest state sponsor of terrorism, you're not going to talk about us funding fucking Israel, which is blowing up fucking all types of shit in Lebanon and Palestine and shit like that. Bruh. And it's like you're talking about me with an American mindset. You're the one sitting here talking about Iran when they're the only ones actually fighting against this U.S. hegemony and that shit. Israel is doing God's work? Yo, you're smoking some Benjamin Netanyahu dick, you fucking cuck. Get the fuck out of here, bruh. What are you said Trump is too fucking liberal for you? Oh, so you're a fucking Israeli? Fucking Zionist pig. Shut the fuck up and go suck Ben Gavir's dick, you fucking lame ass nigga.
Relations between Israel and Arab
fucking
countries.
Lame. Your leaders are literally inbred, obese, ugly ass motherfuckers that could be committing genocides. And you're on this shit talking about Israel's doing God's work. What are you, fucking Mossad or some shit?
Let's have a look at
no one thinks that. No one in America thinks that shit, bro. No one in America thinks that shit. You gotta be trolling. Muslim or the pigs? Bruh, you're such a what is your ideology? I don't understand what your ideology is. You're definitely Israeli or some shit. You have to be Israeli. There's no way that you're majority. Hell no, bro. Dude, the US is literally, you cannot tell me with a straight face that the US population right now is fucking with Israel. Even the fucking hogs and the MAGA people that fucking go outside and fill up their gas tank can see that shit. They don't have to know anything about geopolitics to literally know that Israel is fucking up the bag for them. No one in America likes Israel. Hanan online echo chamber? What are you even talking about?
It's also covering this story here. It says that Trump's demand is
look. This is your country. Stock market at an all-time high. You think the average American, besides someone that has like a 401k, that gives a fuck about the stock market if they can't afford food, if the fertilizer prices go up, if the fucking diesel prices go up, so everything's gonna be more expensive with inflation and shit? Like, that shit is so stupid. Like, if you were a Nazi, then it would make more sense. But you're just an Israeli Nazi trying to cope at an all-time high. Look, the Arab leaders are literally laughing at Trump because he's trying to make Israel a fucking ally with all these Arab countries. If you can't afford food in modern America, you are a fat, lazy, uneducated loser. Yo, that doesn't even fucking make sense because people are not affording food right now. I don't know if you're in America. I hope you're in America, but you're obviously in some type of bubble if you think that people can afford food, especially fucking white people, which are the greatest receivers of food stamps and other social safety nets and shit like that.
With laughter, dismissal, and often silence by US allies in many cases.
So, I mean, what percentage, dude, that people probably work so fucking much and they can't afford food because of this shit that's going on right now.
Governments would prefer walking away from mediation.
But let's see how great Israel is. All the fucking countries around them, because Israel's just a tiny nation surrounded by all these scary countries that wanted to be destroyed and shit like that.
Then risk angering their publics by establishing ties with Israel. Foreign policy also.
White people are only the largest receivers of social programs because they're the majority of the population. When broken down per capita, it's you.
Covering this a situation as you would.
It's still more white people, gang. You trying to bend the stats and shit like that. At the end of the day, I don't even give a fuck to even care. You need to have a job to qualify for war. Literally, you need a job. But it's I don't even care. At the end of the day, bro, I'm socialist. You think I don't want social safety nets for everyone to succeed? That shit is crazy as fuck. Why the fuck should I care? Maybe we should spend more money on social safety nets instead of funding your dusty ass Israel for a bunch of fucking pedophiles and Jeffrey Epstein associates to go and do fucking sex crimes against fucking native populations and shit. Maybe we should be funding these social safety nets instead of funding y'all's healthcare in y'all's military and shit like that. It's just a thought.
Expect there has this article here.
Watch, bro. TikTok, gang. The clock is ticking. The world doesn't fuck with Israel no more. And when they stop fucking with Israel, y'all gonna be having to be fending on your own against everyone around you and all this shit.
Today says that the Iran war has remade the
spewing proven. What do you even? Why are you so obsessed with Hassan, gang? You like straight up dick eating, man.
Gulf. This article says that the region, quotes, knows Iran has won the war and is therefore hedging its bets, and that.
Bro, you probably in a Tel Aviv bunker right now with fucking like 40 fucking terabytes of CSAM on your computer, like fucking David or some shit. Shit is crazy. Everybody deserves free basic necessities. It's true. Everyone does. It should be a human right. Fuck this dude though. It was fun talking to you, but fuck this nigga. That's all you could say, fucking lame ass Israeli motherfucker. Hate. That's all you could do.
Countries
it was
will
fun
not
though.
lurch towards any single power. Now, finally,
I had to let him talk a little bit because I needed to understand what his ideology was. I needed to understand if he was a fucking Nazi or if he was a Zionist Nazi, because he was saying that Trump. The one reason why I kept him on here is because he said Trump was too liberal for him. And then I thought at first that he was a groyper or some shit. But it turns out he was just a Zionist. And I feel like people need to see how fucking toxic this Zionist shit is at the end of the day. That they literally sit and fucking be dick eating like this is crazy. It slurs and nihilism because they know that time is moving on past Israel. In America, people like he didn't even have an argument for that. Like he was just like making fun of welfare recipients and shit like that. But at the end of the day, like we know that the time is moving on past this Israeli fucking like agents and shit going on. It is hand in hand. Look at fucking Israel's relationship with South Africa and shit. But speaking of Israel, let's see what they got to say.
With Israel. Foreign policy also covering this a situation as you would expect. There has this article here today says that the Iran war has remade the Gulf. This article says that the region, quotes, knows Iran has won the war and is therefore hedging its bets, and that countries will not lurch towards.
It's funny too because bro came in straight up like on some aggressive shit. I feel like some people come in and they be like, they'll listen for a little bit, say something that's like, you know, like a little bit on the right side and then go full out like either crazy and say some Nazi talking points. But bro came in hot. He came in hot.
Any single power. Now, finally, on this story, let's have a look at The Atlantic with this article here today. As Trump struggles to find a solution for the crisis in the region, The Atlantic looks at why Trump keeps getting, quotes, rolled in negotiations. It says that Trump will try to spin any Iran deal he makes, but he's actually ill-equipped to gain real concessions.
Next, Emily, artificial intelligence, hidden environmental costs is under the spotlight in the papers today. What do you have?
Yeah, the cost is cooked right now. Let's go.
Yeah, a number of interesting articles on this topic. Let's start with Politico, though, and this article here today. It reports that the EU's Environment Agency chief has told the EU that it has to ensure that tech companies disclose the ecological impact of their data centers. Now, in the hopes of keeping up with China and the US, Brussels has announced that it wanted to triple its computing.
Look what the EU's doing. They can't hide their ecological costs of AI. And this straight up lens that a lot of these companies, not just in data centers, but when it comes to destroying the environment, the length that these companies will go through just to like justify destroying shit. It reminds me a lot of this shit right here, where they drank, even though it's not like a data center, drink fracking fluid. Like, for instance, they literally drank. Where the fuck is that video? Drinking fracking fluid. Bruh. Did they get rid of this shit? Ah, yes, here we go. I guess it's only on fucking Facebook. This is the lengths that these companies will go to basically try to say that they're not causing any ecological damage to shit, even though these data centers need to be studied. But this video has basically been going crazy because the person running for Colorado, I think his name's Hickenlooper, he basically was in this video with a fracking company where they're drinking fracking liquid like, hey, it's safe, see?
This is Chris Wright with Liberty Oilfield Services.
Oh yeah,
I'm here with
and this is our energy secretary too, so you know we're
manager
cooked.
Joel, as we're going to mix up a frac fluid we regularly use, and we're doing this demonstration to illustrate that the biggest problem challenge with energy in the world today isn't toxic chemicals in frac fluid. It's the fact that so many people around the world don't have access to energy that makes long, healthy...
Yo, they're only putting a little bit. I thought they were gonna put like a big ass, like, pour the whole bottle in that shit.
...wonderful lives possible. We want to bring energy to the billion people without access to electricity, the 2 billion people that are still cooking with wood inside their houses, and we want to lift up and have people's lives live longer. So Joel is mixing a collection of chemicals here. Bleach, you use to clean your swimming pool. We use it to kill bacteria too in our frac fluids. Polyacrylamide.
Y'all drinking bleach and shit too?
We use it to reduce friction, but it's also used in those little gel caps you take sometimes.
It's even worse when they talk about the actual shit they're putting in the fracking fluid separately.
Drank too much the night before. And on the right, we have a surfactant, otherwise known as soap. So these are common household chemicals that make the shale revolution possible. Come on, everybody, let's come on in and let's drink to the world.
Humiliation ritual.
Come on in.
Joshua, to your health and to the longer lives and healthier lives of billions of people around the world from oil and gas.
Cheers. Cheers. Cheers.
Yo, that's the type of shit that they'll go through to just say that what they're doing is safe.
Power in the next 7 years, a goal which has sparked sustainability concerns given the large amounts of water and energy that type of infrastructure needs. Now, this is a problem that goes beyond the EU. This article here in The Guardian looks at Chile. The Guardian looks at how this data center boom is exacerbating droughts in Chile. And what you see here, this photo
laughing at Trump
is a picture of Google's largest data center in Latin America, in Quilicura. Now, Quilicura is one of Chile's largest wetlands, but let's deal with Iran on Arab nations here today.
This is what I was trying to talk about, but then I was fucking interrupted by the Zionist dude.
Now, it explains that President Donald Trump seems to be hinging a peace deal with Iran on Arab nations recognizing Israel. Trump has reportedly reached out to leaders in Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Pakistan, and many others, asking them to sign these Abraham Accords. Now, there are a set of agreements which were developed around in 2020, which look to normalize relations between Israel and Arab countries. Let's have a look at Politico. It's also covering this story here. It says that Trump's demand is being met with laughter, dismissal, and often silence.
So yeah, he basically was begging these countries to join the Abraham Accords, and unfortunately they just laughed at him. It sucks, but you know how it is.
The United States says it's carried out what it's calling defensive.
Let's see what Israel got going on, since it's such a noble nation and they're doing God's work according to that Zionist pig. But for real, McDonald's CEO asked him. I know, I forgot to see that shit. But yeah, they sip that shit, and then they barely put any. They just put like a tiny little drop in that shit. They didn't even. I saw the end of the video where they were sipping it all in good health. I thought they put a lot, but they barely mixed it.
Israeli strike in a neighborhood in Beirut's southern suburbs. It's seen as a message from Israel that nowhere is off limits. An apartment in a residential building was hit. The target, Israel said, was a Hezbollah commander. It was the second such strike since a ceasefire announced in mid-April that largely stopped the intense bombing campaign in the capital in recent weeks.
Notice how it's always a Hezbollah commander or some shit in a random apartment building in Lebanon, or in a school, or just in like random ass places. It's always Hezbollah commanders that they're blowing up, never any random civilians. How interesting that is.
But in the south of the country, there's been no let up in strikes. And in recent days, Israel escalated and expanded its attacks. the city of Tyre under fire. Residential neighborhoods reduced to rubble. This was home to tens of thousands.
This is part of the reason why we're never, ever probably not only going to get any of those Arab countries joining the Abraham Accords, but we're never going to have like lower gas prices. We're never going to have any like regional stability in this area. We're never going to just be able to cleanly end the Iran war unless Trump cuts Israel out of the deal, because Israel be doing all this fuck shit like this, blowing up random apartment buildings, even though there's supposed to be a ceasefire. And the Lebanese ceasefire was before the Iranian ceasefire.
People, many of them displaced from towns and villages further south, yet again forced to move after the Israeli military issued a forced displacement order for the entire city on Wednesday.
Dude, these dudes are so genocidal. They be saying that they're doing God's work, but like they're straight up bombing random civilians, bombing random apartment complexes.
Hours later, the order was extended deeper to the entire area south of the Zahrani River. That's roughly 40 kilometers from the Israeli border, which Israel declared combat zones. Israel's attacks have been relentless in recent days. The army announced an intensification of its operations against Hezbollah.
Yo, they're so nationalistic too. Like they always got the flags flowing on high speed whenever they have these like press conferences.
The army announced an intensification of its operations against Hezbollah, warning the group is going to pay a heavy price for its actions. Hezbollah's attack drones have been hunting down Israeli troops.
I literally seen this video too on Instagram. There's so many FPV drone videos of like Israeli IDF soldiers and commanders getting belt to ass. Is there a legitimate reason why we don't use our own domestic oil rather than import it from West Asia? I mean, like the biggest reason is like, you know, we don't nationalize these oil companies, so we can't really tell them what to do. That's like the main reason. And it boils down to, even if we do, basically because it's like with supply and demand, there's only a limited amount of oil being produced in general. When you think about that shit, any cut in supply means that the demand is super high, so the prices are going to go up, like, you know, basic economics. Even if we produce more oil in the U.S. with these oil companies, with Chevron and Exxon and all that shit, we can't force them to sell that oil to the U.S. market. They're not like nationalized companies. They're just gonna look at you crazy and be like, "What the fuck? Like, we don't want to do that shit." So, yeah, it's a combination between even like the demand basically outpacing the supply, and in general, we don't nationalize these. Which, I mean, other countries in Scandinavia nationalize their oil, but yeah, we can't force these companies basically to sell to us. And also that's part of the reason why, like, in certain parts of the US there's more expensive oil. Like, I think Texas is a little bit cheaper than California because of the fact that they get more oil from the area of Texas, versus California, we have to import a lot more oil, so the prices end up being crazy on top of the gas tax and shit that we have.
Occupying villages in southern Lebanon, they've also targeted and killed them in northern Israel. All the while, civilians, many of...
And yeah, Israel's been getting belt to ass. It would be nice, though, if we could just have, like, our own domestic oil companies just fulfilling the gap in supply and basically making the prices go a little bit, less expensive. But I guess that shit makes too much sense.
Whom have no place to go are being killed. Children among them. And at times, entire families in a single strike. The International Committee of the Red Cross says ongoing hostilities are making life untenable for them. There's been huge destruction, too, in the southern city of Nabateeh and surrounding villages. Israeli troops are using heavy...
Not even talking about, what's happening in Palestine, because they're still, you know, committing a genocide and ethnic cleansing there. Pretty much everywhere around them, they commit that shit.
Firepower,
and they
as
enjoy
they try
it, too.
to advance north of the areas already occupied along the border.
Lebanese and Israeli military delegations will hold talks at the Pentagon on Friday. Military and official sources say Lebanon's government, which is not a party to the conflict, is expected to again stress the need.
Yeah, Lebanese government can't even control this shit. Why can't U.S. use its oil? Let's just look at a little explanation video as to why.
As of 2023,
even though the
U.S. was #1.
the U.S. is the largest oil producer in the world, but this is why we can't
in
use
the
our
whole
oil.
world for oil production. Quite impressive. On average, the country extracts around 19.4 million barrels a day. In second and third places in the rankings with a noticeable gap are Saudi Arabia and Russia. Their figures are around 11 million barrels a day, which is almost half of what the U.S. produces.
Dude, we produce so much fucking oil. That shit is crazy. I feel like it just doesn't feel like it with these oil prices.
But at the same time, the USA is in second place among the key oil importers. That is, they actively buy it. Only China buys more crude oil, around 10 million barrels a day, while the USA's number is about 6 million barrels a day. Canada, Mexico, Guyana, and again Saudi Arabia supply oil to the U.S. daily. In fact, there's a pretty long list, give or take 15 countries, and there's nothing...
And it also depends on what actual state you're living in within the U.S., because I know that California takes more oil from the Middle East, too.
Usual about it. It's a big country that doesn't have enough oil of its own and has to buy it from others. After all, the USA is the biggest oil consumer in the world. In 2019, the country consumed about 21 million barrels a day. That's 20% of the global total. 21% for one country. But what if I told you that at the same time, the USA sells a huge amount of oil that it extracts on its own land? Moreover, the USA is among the top 4 largest oil exporters, meaning they sell a lot of crude oil. The country ranks 4th after Saudi Arabia, Russia, and Iraq, and sells about 3.6 million barrels of oil each day. And this already seems strange. Why sell oil if you don't have enough and end up having to buy it later? What's up with that?
What's up with that?
The truth is, the U.S. simply can't use its own oil, and I won't make sense of it without a cup of coffee.
Let them know, gang.
Just an unobtrusive reminder to hit the like button if you do that sort of thing.
Yeah, make sure to like What Top's video.
In 2022, when oil and gas prices in the U.S. began to soar, many people saw a straightforward and apparently obvious solution to the issue. The U.S. has roughly 38.2 billion barrels of
There's so many states, too, that produce oil that, like, I just don't even be thinking about it. Like, I'd be losing track that Oklahoma produces a lot. I think of Texas a lot. California produces a lot of oil, too.
Oil reserves underground that remain untapped. Judge for yourself. Almost 14 million acres on land and over 9.1 million acres at sea are currently leased but not used for oil extraction.
Yeah. Can't confirm. Oil is definitely cheaper down here, but that makes sense. But that's shameless on the part of our own oil companies. It is. They just, yeah, I mean, at the same time, I guess it is just pretty much capitalism, too. Like, they don't really care to sell to American people like that because at the end of the day, like, they're trying to export that shit. But yeah, it is cheaper in different parts. It's kind of wild. Like, California, where cooked, shit is so damn expensive.
So why not just extract all that oil? Prices would go down right away and everyone would be thrilled.
Right?
However, even though this thought might seem really smart, many experts back then said it was just a fantasy. For the U.S. to start fully exploiting and using its own oil, that's just impossible. Moreover, a weird paradox has come up. Even if the U.S. were to extract all its oil, the price...
U.S. capitalism final boss. Make your country basically suffer when there's an actual oil crisis because of the fact that capitalism is just too strong. We have to sell that oil.
Wouldn't change at all. Why? For the same reason that the U.S. can't use its own oil, they can only sell it. A few years back, the U.S. set a record for domestic oil production, and it's just kept growing since. In 2018, for example, the country's oil trade balance was the best it's been in the past 50 years. Moreover, the U.S. already produces enough oil to meet their needs. So in 2020, the U.S. was producing 18.4 million barrels of oil per day and consuming 18.12 million barrels. So there could have been some left over for the future. But how does such a huge import fit into this scenario? To get to the bottom of it, you need to grasp one very important thing. While oil is a major commodity traded globally, nearly no one uses it directly. Oil needs to be processed into fuels, materials, and products that we rely on every day. Just a barrel of oil isn't much
diesel, fertilizer, natural gas, all that shit.
Use to anyone. However, its physical characteristics, like where the oil is extracted, where the refineries or production facilities are
and
located,
also to different different places in the world and in the country produce different types of oil. So like in Texas, you could produce like heavy crude, so it could be used for more things. Versus in other parts of the country, it's different types of oil.
Located, or where the highest consumer demand is, affect its usefulness and therefore its value. Yes, oil also comes in different types. Types of oil differ in density, sulfur content, viscosity, presence of impurities, and all that sort of thing. Depending on what exactly you want to produce, you need a certain type of oil with specific characteristics. Based on these characteristics, people decide what to do with the oil they've extracted. But if you really want to put it simply, you can roughly divide oil into light and heavy types. The type of light crude oil that most people are familiar with is less dense than water. It flows easily at room temperature. Heavy oil and bitumen are also forms of crude oil, but they're more viscous and dense. All these differences in oil chemistry mean that you can't purify all oil the same way. The purifying processes look different depending on the type. We've more or less figured out the oil situation, but let's go back to the US and look at the conditions here. It just so happens that most of the infrastructure for oil extraction, as well as refining and transporting fuel, is located in the regions in the middle of the continent and along the Gulf of Mexico coast. By the way, this is the reason why the 5 states where fuel prices are the lowest are the same ones where most of the infrastructure is located.
Most of the infrastructure is located in Texas, so it has cheaper oil or cheaper, gas prices out there.
These are Mississippi, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Alabama, and of course Texas. Believe it or not, oil pipelines have been around since the 1860s. Back then, of course, pipes were out of the question. Wagons and flatboats were the most common means of transporting barrels of oil, but the industry needed something better. In 1862, a more modern pipeline was built, which looked, well, nothing like what we have now. 2 wooden planks joined in the shape of a V. This pipeline carried oil about 1,000 feet using simple gravity. However, by 1863...
I mean, we get the gist. Bro, getting real into this shit, man. What the fuck? Bro, really getting into this shit.
U.S. Central Command accusing Iran of an egregious...
Let's get back into this. Okay, we got some crazy news. A CIA agent got arrested for stealing gold bars. $40 million worth of gold bars, indeed. It was like 300 gold bars and shit. Average CIA agent activity, if you ask me.
Back here in the U.S., a former CIA senior officer is accused of secretly stashing 300 gold bars in his house that he brushed off as work-related expenses, according to court documents.
Yo, he was an officer too, so he was definitely moving on some CIA shit. This shit doesn't even make sense though. He said it was work-related expenses. $40 million
with his employment history. Julia Ainsley is joining us now at this exclusive reporting. Sorry, Julia. What?
I know. Hallie, when I first heard this tip, I didn't think it was real. And then the court documents...
Yo, you could totally think this shit's real, man. Like, this shit reminds me of Snowfall, kind of. But replace, like, gold bars with crack.
Held out that there was a man who was an employee of a government agency that was found with $40 million worth of gold bars in his home. If you're wondering how many gold bars that is, the court document says it's about 308. What my team here at NBC News, Dan DeLuce and Gary Grumbach and I found is that that man was not just an employee of any agency. He was a high-level official with top-secret clearance in the CIA, and that he not only lied about what he was doing with this money, but that allegedly he also lied about his background, said that he graduated from a college he did not attend, that he went to a graduate school he did not attend, and that he had a pilot's license that the FAA...
They don't background check any of these people in the CIA? I thought y'all supposed to be the Central Intelligence Agency and y'all didn't have any intelligence on this dude. He lied about what school he went to. He lied that he had a pilot's license. He lied about having 300 gold bars in his house.
FAA said he did not have. So he was arrested last week, and he is now in detention facing these charges of lying about his background and perhaps unknowingly embezzling American taxpayers' money. I want to read you a statement we just got
he was lying
from the CIA, saying that after a CIA internal investigation identified potential violations of the law, CIA Director John Ratcliffe referred the information to the FBI for a law enforcement investigation. The FBI is working closely.
Bro didn't give a fuck. Like, he could have stole like 1 or 2 gold bars, but he stole 300 and thought no one would notice.
With our partners at the CIA and the Department of Justice.
And it's like, y'all, if you're ever afraid of lying on your resume to get a job, this dude lied about going to school, lied about going to grad school, lied about having a pilot's license, which is something that you think that, like, wouldn't you be able to figure that shit out just by, like, telling him to fly a plane?
To investigate this matter fully. So, Hallie, We will be staying on this. But what this looks like is that this was someone who was given currency. He was even paid in cash and watches that he said needed to be used in order to pay for operations that he was in charge of. But rather than keeping it in his office, they found $40 million worth of this gold, as well as $2 million in cash and 35 luxury watches in.
Bro, they should have looked at that inventory list of shit that he was asking for in payment and been like, yo, you want 40. What did she say? How many luxury watches? Did she even say that amount?
In cash and 35 luxury watches.
35
in
Rolexes?
his home. So we'll bring you more as we learn it.
Please do. Julia Ainsley with that exclusive reporting along with Dan and Gary. Thank you, Julia. Appreciate that.
Nah, that's some crazy shit. Probably legit. Seems legit.
This is what you need to know now.
I forget that Disney owns ABC now.
Urgency is that we can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon.
The U.S. launching new attacks in the Middle East as the war in Iraq tank disaster.
Oh yeah. There's a
people are now.
So this devastating rupture of a chemical plant in Orange County, I might be investigating that with the IRL stream on Monday.
Presumed dead after the chemical tank disaster in Washington.
Oh wait, that's the one in Washington. I forgot there was one in Washington and then there was one in Orange County.
Declared
also.
this
But
incident
this
a
one killed a bunch
transition
of
from
people.
rescue to recovery.
5 people trapped deep inside this flooded cave are found alive, but the rescue mission isn't over. And this odd-looking sphere could be the future of robotics. We have much more what you need to know now. I'm Maggie Rulli from ABC News. It's Thursday, May 28th. This is what you need to know. Let's get right to the big story. For the second time this week, the U.S. has launched a
We already talked about Iran.
victories, and he says
He's not in a rush.
Oh,
yeah.
criminal investigation.
Nah, let's talk about this. E. Jean Carroll, the woman that essentially sued Trump for that whole rape case where he was civilly found liable for sexual abuse. The DOJ is currently coming after her and investigating her. No one on the Epstein list, though, but we're going after the woman that was, a victim of Trump's sex crimes. And basically, they're trying to find out if she lied in her trial.
Tonight, there is new reporting that...
Yeah, CIA do be hiring like that. I don't know what the fuck they be doing, twin. They be hiring this anyone. I've honestly seen some CIA applications on Indeed. So if y'all are ever on Indeed and you need a job... and you don't mind lying about your job experience history, like there's always the CIA. And, you might just get away with it and you might get $40 million in gold bars that you'll be able to use. But, yeah, it's not looking good for E. Jean Carroll. The DOJ is currently launching a criminal investigation against her.
Donald Trump's Department of Justice is targeting E. Jean Carroll, the former magazine columnist Trump was found liable for sexually abusing in 1996. That's in front of a civil jury. Citing multiple sources familiar with the matter, CNN reports...
Justice Department launches a criminal investigation. Isn't it so weird how they're literally attacking victims just because they made the president look bad a couple years ago? But what about the people that are obviously on the Epstein's list? Like, we're not going to go after any of the Epstein alumni?
The DOJ has launched a criminal investigation into whether Carroll committed perjury in a 2022 deposition when she said she received no outside funding for her civil lawsuit against Trump for sexual abuse. The legal team around Carroll later disclosed that billionaire Democratic donor Reid Hoffman paid some of her legal fees. Of course, we don't know when that happened and when she answered that question. I should note, MS Now has not independently confirmed this reporting. CNN says Carroll declined to comment on the story. A spokesperson for the Justice Department did give CNN this statement, quote, "We can confirm that no U.S. Attorney's Office has declined to investigate any case relating to the..."
Dude, this is what they said. We can confirm that no U.S. Attorney's Office has declined to investigate any case related to the subject matter. That's like a double negative for real. That's like a weird roundabout way of saying, yes, we're investigating
no U.S. Attorney's Office has
a person that Trump apparently raped.
We will not comment beyond that. Take that for what it's worth. MS Now senior legal reporter Lisa Rubin joins me now. Lisa, this reporting emanated from CNN, so we're sort of operating off the report they have.
This literally happened like last night. This is like literally breaking news. And it's like, wild that they're literally investigating victims while the people in the fucking Epstein files that everyone was in such a hubbub, especially Trump supporters, were so mad about trying to figure out who was in the Epstein files, looking everywhere but the fucking White House. But now we see that the dude who was mentioned 35,000 times, more motherfucking times than Jesus in the Bible and the Epstein files, is apparently launching a criminal investigation weaponizing the DOJ as per usual against his rape victim.
He's together so far.
Well, Chris, this is an issue that actually percolated at E. Jean Carroll's first of the 2 trials that I attended. And we do know when she gave that deposition. And we also know, maybe more importantly, when her lawyer, Roberta Kaplan, then disabused Trump's then lawyer, Joe Tacopina and Alina Habba, of their belief that E. Jean Carroll had lied in her October 2022 deposition. I'm going to read to you from a letter that was sent to Mr. Tacopina's firm by Robbie Kaplan in April of 2023 on the eve of that first trial. And I think based on what she says in this letter, the notion that there's a criminal investigation into E. Jean Carroll is sort of gobsmacking. She writes, it appears that you
It's wild. She's like 82 years old and they're like investigating her.
Be operating on a misunderstanding of the facts. As Ms. Carroll testified at her deposition, she had and continues to have a contingency fee arrangement with her counsel. And let me just pause there for our viewers. That means that E. Jean Carroll was not paying her lawyers as the case went along, but that the lawyers were themselves bearing the fees, and that if there was going to be a
wild as hell if you think about it. Like, in what world does this even make sense?
recovery, then they would.
She wrote this. Let's see. She wrote this? Wait. Yeah, this is some crazy shit. Return of the White Negro from June 1st, 1994. A report from the Twisted Heart of Morocco, Indiana. I thought it was going to be Morocco, Africa, where a fashion statement by hip-hop crazed honkies sparked a harassment, a bomb threat, and a nasty little race war. About 4 kids in Indiana that got in trouble for dressing like black people. Damn, this shit paywalled because it's like archived, but that is kind of a crazy title. Is he wearing a Kangol? And it has kente cloth in it? Yo, white people were on some crazy shit. Chronicling the lives of basketball groupies in a story called The Love of Magic, and went to Indiana to investigate why 4 farm kids were thrown out of school for dressing like black artists in the Return of the White Negro. Yo, people were on some different shit in the 90s, gang. Let's see. Return of the White Negro. Maybe I could find this shit on paywalled. This is some other dude. Let's see. That's so random that she just knew that she had this. This is like a deep pull. I wonder what the overall sentiment of this was. I don't know if I'll be able to find it though. Like a non-paywall version. Gotta buy that shit. That's crazy. You know, they were moving a little different in the 90s, man. Like, she was on her different type of investigative journalism. I'll say that.
Some percentage of that. Robbie Kaplan continues. In September of 2020,
Jack Harlow type shit.
Miss Carroll filed.
For real. This is the original White Negro. Say hello to Jack Harlow's hat. Yo. This is the real White Negro right here, bro. My dog making crazy noises. Jack Harlow over here looking like fucking what's that one rapper's name from Black Star? Bro, just like Talib Kweli.
Filed her state court complaint in November 2019.
Dude, he dead ass. I feel like he might have won. I think he has a BET award. He's been at the BET Awards. He definitely has, yeah. Yo, he has multiple BET Awards. Male Hip Hop Artist in 2022, Viewer's Choice in 2024, 2023 Video of the Year. Yo, he's a BET alumni. New Artist, Viewer's Choice, Collaboration, Male Hip Hop Artist, Male Hip Hop Artist. Oh, he doesn't have one. AI had to let me know. He's received multiple nominations, though. Dude, these fucking bots are going crazy right now. I don't know what's good with that shit, man. Go support the Jack Harlow album, or else it's anti-white racism. You already know what's going on, man. I have not listened to that shit, and I can't verify if it's good, and I probably think people were mad at it, but let's see what's up with this.
Lawsuit that E. Jean Carroll filed that ended up going to federal court because Trump wanted it there, not because she wanted it there. Then she says counsel for Ms. Carroll secured financial support from a nonprofit organization that
so this was like a trial that she wasn't even ready for and then had to find some type of funding for.
Offset certain costs and fees in connection with counsel's work on Ms. Carroll's behalf. And here's the important part. Ms. Carroll has never met and has never been party to any communication, written or oral, with anyone associated with that nonprofit or its financial supporters. And let me then take a step back. The day before this letter, Robbie Kaplan had written to Alina Habba and said, look, in connection with the preparation for trial,
Monica. Yo.
Jean now remembers something that is different than what she testified to.
Hey man, shout out Jack Harlow. Anyone let me know if y'all ever get the chance if the new Jack Harlow album is fire or not, because I've heard a lot of mixed reviews, and by mixed I mean I heard it was trash.
When you took her deposition, she now remembers that she did know.
Yo, MS Now is so liberal. Like, they always be interviewing. This is like a complete side note, but it says down here, I'm kind of cut off there, but it says that they interviewed Beto O'Rourke. Like, they just be interviewing random ass liberal dudes from like the past and shit.
Secured some funding on her behalf. That doesn't change the fundamental fact of her testimony that she knew that this.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that they're trying to go after her for receiving funding from a Democratic donor. But what does that have to do from the charges and like what Trump was actually found civilly liable for?
Contingency fee case, and she wasn't aware at that time that anyone was paying legal fees in the case. She since has remembered, understanding that we received some funding on her behalf. If this is the basis for a criminal investigation begun by the U.S. Department of Justice, now headed by former Trump personal counsel Todd Blanche, who, according to CNN's reporting, is recused, but now is being run out of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Illinois in Chicago. If this is what this is based on, I don't even know what to say to you and our viewers about this as a criminal investigation.
Yeah, I just want to take us back because I really appreciate you sort of.
Yeah, Trump has in the last couple of weeks been heavily weaponizing the DOJ, even though he says that they've been going after him for the longest time. But he used the DOJ basically to issue or about to issue or on Fox News said that they're issuing subpoenas against Code Pink and Hassan Piker for going to Cuba. Now he's using the DOJ to investigate E. Jean Carroll, his rape accuser. Bro's on a speed run of going after his enemies that he says he's persecuted by.
Walking through the facts here as they're established. I mean, I feel a little bad because we sort of framed it because we kind of have to of like what they're accusing her. But like, I just want to say, no criminal investigation or case brought by the Department of Justice against an obvious person that Donald Trump has a vendetta against should be treated at face value.
Obviously not.
Like, it's simply not rational. It's not logical. It's like, it's not a good faculty of judgment by anyone. Like, the obvious default that people should have is that it is purely out of spite and vendetta until...
Yeah, it's definitely out of spite. Like, bro's petty as fuck. He's 80 damn years old. I think he's 80 years old. They're close to it. He's literally deteriorating on TV, falling asleep. They literally just trying to find anyone to go after. Her mother was a Republican politician? Yo. Her backstory is low-key weird as fuck, but I guess it kind of makes sense that they were in the same circles, or at least close enough that he could do this freak shit to her. That's like kind of crazy though. Like that, and like her making that article about the mythical white Negroes and shit.
Otherwise, right? The rebuttable presumption. And this seems like one of the most
I never really knew
egregious
much about her. I mean, I guess she's like, her father, Thomas F. Carroll, was a furniture store manager, and her mother, Betty, was a Republican politician in Allen County, Indiana. That explains the Indiana connection. I feel like Eugene Carroll is kind of like past my time. Like, I never really knew about her because she's like 80 something. I only knew about her because of the whole Trump case. But I guess it is kind of interesting when you think about it, that her father was a whole Republican, or her mother was a Republican politician, and then she's getting funding from a Democrat basically for her trial.
Examples: an 82-year-old woman who said that Donald Trump sexually assaulted her in the Bergdorf Goodman dressing room, who Donald Trump...
But I guess it makes sense. It's on point because she was like in the same circles as
called
him.
a liar, who then sued him for defamation for lying about her, and then won. That's who we're talking about, that the Department of Justice apparently wants to criminally prosecute.
Let me make it worse, actually, if I can, because not only did
He's not even going against the actual allegations that he like did anything to her, but it's just the fact that she committed perjury allegedly by saying that in one deposition that she wasn't getting funding from an outside source.
Verdicts from juries comprised of people from all over, not just Manhattan, but from places in upstate New York. The juries were mixed in terms of gender. There were people on that jury, including one juror who I really remember well, who was a listener of Tim Pool. If you know anything about the podcast ecosystem, somebody...
Yo, how do they know what type of podcast you listen to? You have to put that shit. And also, if you're a listener of Tim Pool and you're on a jury for Trump's rape case, like, is that not a little bit impartial? But again, I guess, what am I but a peon in a company? I don't know.
Listens to Tim Pool on the regular is not exactly a Democratic voter, and yet both of those juries unanimously held for E. Jean Carroll, and the Second
And that's throwback Tim Pool. That's Tim Pool when he was writing that depressed dad music. I don't know. This is just an ADHD moment real fast. This is from 3 years ago. So the person in E. Jean Carroll's jury pool was a fan of the Timcast. He probably commented on this video. Nah, that's facts though. You low-key gotta be fucking... That shit it's a hallmark for low IQ. They probably had this shit on repeat too. They were bumping this on the way to the trial.
Did you think I'd leave you there?
Wait, where's mine?
Did you think I'd never keep my promise to? It's easy when I'm lying there with you, and every night I dream of you, and every night I promise to
put your lighters up, gang. This is what this motherfucker was playing on the way to the trial. That throwback shit, man.
Did you know you left me there, staring at the...
Honestly, I didn't know that this song sounded so fucking bad. Like, obviously it sounded bad, but like the singing sounds really bad. Like whoever vocally produced this shit was awful.
In my soul as I fell to pieces.
At least we see that he has some type of soul though.
There's only one thing I want you to know, is that I have found my...
I need to hear this shit break down. Come on, give it to me.
Did you think I'd walk away?
Dude, does this shit get any more exciting, or is it gonna be just a build-up the whole time?
Today, it's easy when I'm standing there with you, yet every every day away from you. It's another day I break my promise to hold on. 'Cause holding on is harder than I knew.
Come on. Oh my god, that shit sounded terrible. Come on, give us the breakdown. I just want to get to that part. Okay, fuck, I missed it. Alright, let's see. This is like Tom McDonald or Dax mixed with Nickelback or some shit. Or Creed. But bad. Yeah, so the person was basically listening to shit like that and was in the Eugene Carroll fucking trial and still said that Trump is definitely liable for sexual assault.
Court that tried
Interesting.
These cases also affirmed both of these verdicts. They then denied a review by all of the active judges on that. And now he's trying to get his case into the Supreme Court. And just as he is trying to get these cases into the Supreme Court, lo and behold, he's lobbing this fact of the investigation.
Damn, he's trying to get this shit into the Supreme Court. That makes a lot of sense. So he's trying to basically have Clarence Thomas, who's, you know, he's very moral and has never had any similar charges or anything like that, or similar things that happened to him along these lines, to basically get him off the hook and say that she committed perjury on something that had nothing to do with the actual charges or what he was like held liable for.
Public domain, it strikes me as an attempt to influence the justices' thinking right at a juncture where it's pertinent. And Chris, one more thing here. The E. Jean Carroll case that's already been fully briefed to the Supreme Court, the justices have held over for their conference again and again. And again, for the uninitiated, the Supreme Court justices typically meet on Friday mornings to discuss applications for review. The E. Jean Carroll case has been scheduled and rescheduled now 12 times. It will be discussed again, or scheduled to be discussed
that shit might never
on
happen.
Friday morning. But I can't help but wonder what the timing here says about both the merits of the investigation, but also who the audience for the investigation is. Did they actually intend to prosecute E. Jean Carroll, or are they trying to send a message to the justices?
Send a message to the... Oh, fuck.
Jim Clyburn is the only Democrat.
Yeah, send the messages. But this is a side note. South Carolina is basically getting rid of, you know, black representation.
Congressman
as per
representing
usual.
The state of South Carolina. He's also the first black person to represent the state in Congress since the end of Reconstruction. He has held his seat in majority black district for 33 years.
But his seat survived.
Positions of party leadership. This year, though, as we all know, Donald Trump, with an assist from the conservative majority of the Supreme Court, demanded Republicans nationwide in an unprecedented move.
Kind of crazy.
Really
I guess South Carolina wasn't going for this.
Suddenly,
oh, wait. I remember why South Carolina wasn't going for this. It was very similar to the reason why Florida is having a weird issue with their redistricting. Is they're afraid that they've already gerrymandered these states to shit to the point where it might actually help Democrats.
Other congressional maps explicitly together.
Even Lindsey Graham was
against
against redistricting here.
One and the same in states like South Carolina. That was the plan, to essentially eliminate black representation to the South because those districts tend to elect Democrats. And it seemed all but certain that Clyburn's seat would be essentially redrawn and Clyburn's position eliminated. And then something pretty rare happened. State Republicans found some kind of backbone. Yesterday, the state legislature...
No, they didn't find any backbone. They just didn't want their shit to get gerrymandered, and then it basically switches up the whole voting pool and can actually end up having Republicans lose seats.
South Carolina just refused. They voted against it. They voted down an effort to redraw their maps before the deadline expired. Now, the state might still try again before 2028, but for now, Congressman Clyburn will almost certainly be returning to Congress for his 18th term. And Congressman Jim Clyburn joins me now. Congressman, it's wonderful to have you
Motherfucking
here.
Jim Clyburn, man. Like, I'm glad he gets to keep his seat, but he definitely did some weird shit in the when Bernie Sanders was against Joe Biden in 2020. I don't know if people still remember that. I still hold that grudge. for him basically pushing the fuck out of Joe Biden and basically got us kind of indirectly in this situation that we have now. But he's basically kind of almost like a kingmaker with the whole primary process when it comes to presidential primaries.
I was thinking about you, obviously, as we all followed these developments. I mean, first of all, just your reaction to it. Were you surprised? Did you have advanced notice? Did you have conversations that led you to believe the outcome yesterday was what was going to happen?
Well, thank you very much for having me, Chris. No, I was not surprised at all. I was a little bit disappointed at some of the processes that took place, but the result I expected.
Yeah, but he keeps his seat, and it's understandable to expect that because of the fact that, yeah, like I said, they didn't want to get their shit gerrymandered. But we got to move on to something very fun and interesting, guys. Guess what? We have what I call Epstein Chella. The UFC Freedom 250 is currently under construction. Yo, 18 terms is egregious. I was literally thinking that shit too, gang. Like, bro has been in this fucking, like, I guess I'm glad that there's a black dude that's in the South that's representing black people, even though, like, he did the whole Joe Biden thing. But it's like, bro has been in office so damn long that we need new representation. But then at the same time, sometimes the new representation be bought out. AKA on some the one dude that beat Al Green in Texas who's like a AI puppet, but he's a black dude. So I mean, we need good representation, but I guess it's hard to come by nowadays. Oops, this shit is muted. Let's hear about Trump's birthday. His big birthday. Is it his 80th birthday or his 81st
Continuing
birthday?
to track more of your top stories here at Live Now from Fox, and right now we are going to specifically focus on some construction happening in Washington, D.C., more specifically at the White House.
More
President Trump
specifically.
not just working on construction for a ballroom, but also getting ready for a major event happening later on this summer. It's the UFC Freedom 250 event. Construction is underway for a stadium to host that event, and we are joined now by Fox 5 DC's Maureen Umish.
Dude, it looks like they're building like an old person amusement park in that shit. I said it on my story on IG, but it's like it's almost like a if you look at this shit, it's almost like Astro World for pedophiles. Please don't paywall the picture. Oh my god. But you get the deal. We got the ballroom. We got the ballroom construction going on to the right. And then we got this weird cyborg type thing with American flags and shit going on right here. A lot of freedom. A lot of freedom going on in the White House right now.
Progressing. Maureen.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, so we're used to construction around the White House, the fencing behind me. Let me step aside. You can get a better look at what we're talking about. So, yes, we've got the peripheral fencing happening, but look just beyond it. You see that arch there?
Yo, this is so gaudy.
This UFC fight is being constructed.
Just a big-ass bulb thing. And then we got the American flag all on that shit.
Erecting the power grid and all of that. This is something very unusual. We have events here in Washington, D.C., but certainly never a UFC fight. So this is going to be new. It's going to be different. People taking in the spectacle. But it's been going on for a couple of days now with the construction crews coming in.
How old is Trump? Because this is like his birthday. So I think he's probably turning 80.
Equipment and erecting again that stage that you're seeing there.
My bad.
You can see the construction there from we even had a White House camera that was showing the construction there. Overnight pictures from Fox News also showing the construction underway. This stage is going to be surrounded by what
so this is for his 80th birthday.
People. Renderings give a better
little present of freedom to the American people. You get to have the UFC fight. It's looking like pedophile Astro World is going to be so dope this year.
Idea of what's planned. The event is part of celebrations marking America's 250th birthday. It also lands on Flag Day and President Donald Trump's 80th birthday. Additional renderings reveal plans for the Freedom 250 Fan Fest at the Ellipse.
Yo, like, I don't want to jinx this shit, but all these major events and sometimes just regular weekdays, like, there be some crazy lunatic that happens to just, try to shoot that shit up. And I don't know. It could be because they don't have a ballroom or something like that. But it could be because bro's the most hated president in U.S. history currently with this war in Iran. Regardless, like, I don't want to jinx this shit. The new Rome. What did he say? He said that we're the new Rome. I mean, it definitely is giving like we're Rome. We got gladiators fighting in front of pedophiles and shit. This sounds like the Roman Empire altogether. They had a lot of freaky shit going on, and it's like
The main
we're building a whole bootleg Coliseum outside the White House.
Food areas, tents, bleachers, and open festival space.
And
for
we're
fans attending.
overexerting ourselves, trying to put ourselves all over the world and build a whole empire. It really, I mean, I don't really fuck with Nick Fuentes, obviously, because I'm black and not a black groyper. There'd be a bunch of those shits. But it's like, it is kind of something to be seen.
Day event. UFC posted
This is the only W he can really show.
Event, quote, history in the making. Again, you can see.
It's just kind of funny, though. Like, we're literally, like, we're at war right now. Gas prices are fucked. The economy's not doing well for the average everyday American. Yeah, the stock market is doing good. But like the average everyday American has to spend way more money on food because of diesel prices and fertilizer going up, down bad. And then they're just having this shit in front of our faces. And it's kind of like Rome trying to pacify everyone with this UFC fight, even though a lot of people are probably going to be bootleg streaming that shit.
This is the south lawn of the White House, right near the ellipse, and so it's taking up a big stage. I can tell you that traffic so far, it's been okay this morning. We haven't seen crews actually come so far.
But the way they're building this shit, like this should be a fucking roller coaster. They should allow people to get on like a roller coaster on some Busch Garden shit.
Happening here, we're used to it, but not a UFC fight. We haven't had a chance to talk to people this morning yet about what they think, but anecdotally, in the past when people first heard about it, it was a mixed reaction. Some people thought it was a great idea, others thought just horrible. We don't need anything like this, but we'll gauge their
yeah, it's even more of a worse idea when you're doing this shit when you're like the most hated politician in the country. Like, sure, this shit was planned way beforehand, but if you have a whole offensive and illegal war going on in Iran, like I would have postponed that shit, but they got to make it special for America's 250th birthday and Trump's 80th birthday. What's the over under? Someone needs to see the Kalshi bet odds on him falling asleep during this shit.
They're saying what they're saying about what's happening here in DC.
And how many minutes he's falling asleep.
Here, this is
if it's 2 minutes, I'm betting the over.
In that sense, we do have a lot of construction always happening. Not for a UFC fight. We have concerts and things of that nature right here. But this is something certainly new. Carroll?
Maureen, what's interesting is that right before you stepped aside, or when
weren't people mad at Obama for having a concert in the White House?
Stopping by to take pictures.
Not that I really even give a fuck about it. Where are the money getting from this? Yo, who's paying? That's a good question. Who is paying for the UFC at the White House? I guess it's a popular question. I don't want to look at this AI shit. The UFC and its parents company, TKO Group Holdings, are paying for the White House event, with the overall cost expected to reach $60 million. The cost includes constructing the temporary arena of the South Lawn, fighter payouts, and roughly $700,000 to restore the grass. Okay. Yo, wait, what did Teddy Roosevelt, was he the one that had bare knuckle boxing at the White House? Or what did he do at the White House? I don't even know if this is accurate or nothing like that, but I just feel like he did. Okay. Oh, he hosted intense glove sparring matches. Okay, that's tapped in. That's deep history lore. I didn't even realize that. Okay, yeah, this dude does think he's fucking Teddy Roosevelt the way he's moving.
Seen a lot of that traffic kind of gathering there just to take in all of that construction.
It's funny too, because like the average MAGA fans, I don't even think they have access to this. I think only soldiers or wounded soldiers could pretty much go to this UFC fight, and they have like sort of side viewing areas that are close by, so you could buy tickets in this expensive ass economy for flight prices. Fly to Washington, D.C., and then you could be next to the White House and watch the UFC fight.
Yeah, so far not so much this morning. I mean, but the day is still young. We have a lot of people just running here on the National Mall as they normally do. But as the day goes on, you are going to see more people doing that. Exactly. They were here yesterday, Memorial Day, obviously. But they will be stopping to take pictures and just gawking at what's happening because it is quite the spectacle. I mean, look at the huge cranes behind me. It is quite the spectacle. And then, of course, just the White House itself, always a...
Of course we put the fucking American flag on that shit. But speaking of patriotism, guess what, guys? Guess what? I know y'all were all waiting for this, but Trump is about to be on the $250 bill. Let's go. This shit literally just dropped today, but Trump is launching a massive push to get his own face plastered on the $250 bill. Yeah, pedos and military, zero actual fans. God damn. That's why I said it's like Epstein. Someone else, I said it was like Epstein-Chella. Someone said it was like Pedopalooza. I think we might go with Pedopalooza at the White House. But y'all better tune in. I'm guessing it's July 4th. But in some other American news, Donald Trump is launching a massive push to get his own face plastered on the brand new $250 bill. Y'all know what it is. That $250 looks so dumb. It has to have been made by... You know this shit was made by AI and it has his face. It looks like he's had a stroke. Like, this is post-stroke when they told him to try to look normal. Or he's taking a shit in his pants. I know this looks like some bootleg news source, but it's really like something that's going on. Like, California Post, New York Post also talked about this too. But he's pushing the Treasury Department, Bureau of Engravings and Printings to design a $250 banknote with his ugly ass image on that shit. You know what's going on. Yeah, it's supposed to be a ribbon with America on it. What, you're not a fucking patriot? What are you, Hamas or some shit? You don't like America? Look at this. Who'll be the first living person on U.S. currency in over 150 years? Y'all aren't happy? This isn't what y'all asked for? $250 bill is kind of weird too, because it's like such a... Like, I guess it's kind of clutch that you could put all your money in one place, but then it's like, what if you lose your $250 bill? It's kind of a lot of money to lose. Like, I'm already, like, if you have a $100 bill, you're already kind of like tripping a little bit over that. But like, a $250 bill is kind of a lot of money to put into one bill. Like, I guess it's easier if you have to pay for something exactly $249.99. Carrying that bill just has to be a bad omen, for real. They're definitely gonna be rolling that shit up and snorting ivermectin and shit in the Oval Office. And what's that one shit that they be doing? Sudafed and snorting Adderall. They're gonna have those bills rolled up just for Pete Hegseth. Damn, I didn't know there was a federal law against living presidents being on bills. And it's going to have the whole ass American flag. So this is when people think of America, like when you first come to America and you're an immigrant or like you're someone that's visiting America, you're going to have to go to the currency exchange and you're going to get a $250 bill with a big American flag and Trump's face on it. What a W. And they use a British dude. Damn, they couldn't even get an American painter. I guess that answers your question. I guess it's not AI. It's just British labor. Yo, this guy is so fucking vain, man. You have to be hella vain to just put your face everywhere. Like, that's some old person shit.
U.S.
Like,
Central
you really got to put your face on the dollar bill and shit too. But let's get back into some other news that's kind of interesting. But apparently World Cup prices might get a little bit out of control. I remember I was talking to you, Sneha, and you were talking about how like the tickets on the train, like the path in New York is going to be super expensive. Well, apparently some tickets for the World Cup might be $2 million. And this economy is kind of wild. It's only going to be like oil barons and fucking warlords at this shit, and Epstein class individuals, of course.
In the world are coming to your hometown, and you can't watch. That is, unless you can shell out some serious cash. Official World Cup match tickets are going for upwards of 11,000.
Yo, bro has such like non-aura. He's like, you can't watch. That was like kind of, I don't know if you were trying to be sarcastic or something. That was kind of
dollars
bad.
with resale reaching as high as $2 million. These outrageous prices led
There's going to be like 2 people in the stadium.
Investigations into FIFA just weeks before the games are set to be.
FIFA. You can't investigate FIFA because they're a pillar of morality, aren't they?
Again, Attorneys General Letitia James of New York and Jennifer Davenport of New Jersey released a statement today announcing they have subpoenaed FIFA, seeking information about its
You can't even be a ticket scalper. They're fucking up the economy for everyone. How are you supposed to scalp tickets when that shit $2 million?
Practices for the 8 World Cup
They're
matches
making
set to
the
take
Taylor
place in New
Swift
Jersey. CNN's
Ticketmaster
Bryn
shit
Gingras
look
joins me
even
now. Bryn, what do they
look
expect
like
to
nothing.
find?
Yeah, look, they're looking at how many tickets were allocated for these different games, not only, Jake, in New York, New Jersey Stadium, MetLife as we know it here, of course, but also if a New York, New Jersey consumer bought tickets at a different stadium for the World Cup, they want to know more about that as well. So they have a very wide scope of this investigation.
And that's
that
only
they're
for
looking
one
into.
game?
Look, Jake, I talked to a fan who's based in Washington State and actually said he hopes his attorney general takes some similar action, but he basically told me this story about how he went online, waited in a queue for 12 hours to get World Cup tickets in Seattle, finally got to a point where he could pick his 2 seats. He said they were pretty good seats on the side of the pitch, not behind a goalpost, waited another 5 minutes to check out, finally paid $515 each for those tickets.
That's
and
better
then when
than
he got
$2
the
million.
confirmation, his seats were in a completely different area of the stadium. These are the kinds of stories
Yo,
that
that's FIFA for you, gang. Unless it was through Ticketmaster or some shit, that would make sense too. All this shit's a racket.
put out in the press. And what the New York Attorney General's office said to me basically was they heard about these stories and now they want to know more. Why did this happen? How did this happen? Did they break any laws?
Why did this happen?
And they actually aren't the first attorneys general to take action. California also has put into an inquiry with FIFA for similar questions, you know, wondering what sort of disclosures are given to these buyers before they purchase tickets. So there's a lot of questions that are outstanding here. And the big question for fans, as I talked to one, is will there be any recourse? Will there be any restitution? Of course, the games start in just a couple of weeks. FIFA at the moment is saying that they have no comment on these investigations that are now.
They have no comment? Yeah, you're going to have to pay that $2 million. There's going to be like 3 people in the stadium.
On their side because what they're dealing with is really just taking away from the whole entire experience.
All right, Bryn Gingras, thank you so much.
That's kind of crazy.
Now to discuss is New York Attorney General Letitia James. General James, thanks for joining us. So exactly what information are you seeking from FIFA?
So first, let me just tell you that this is the most expensive World Cup game in the history of World Cup.
And it's like all the World Cup shit, like they're all over the country.
I'm really excited that the World Cup is coming to this region. But unfortunately, FIFA has engaged in this ticketing scheme and these high-priced tickets. And so we issued subpoena, along with the Attorney General of New Jersey. And we are seeking information with regards to the pricing, the ticketing, and the...
Yeah, but speaking of football, but American football, we got an NFL quarterback whose sex tape apparently...
The mother of NFL quarterback Will Levis has revealed her son spent a, quote, exorbitant amount of money trying to remove his leaked sex tape from the internet. Beth Levis, mother of the Titans QB, says Levis hired a cybersecurity specialist and private investigator after finding out that an intimate video of
those cybersecurity specialists, like the people that help you get your Instagram back when that shit gets hacked, they be charging so much, and it's not even guaranteed that they'll be able to even help you.
Himself and his then girlfriend, Gia Duddy, was spreading online.
Ultimately, a lot of the content was taken down, but, you know, you can never scrape anything entirely from the internet.
She says hackers obtained the material by breaching one of Will's devices when he was in college.
We come to find out this was a Eastern European hacking group that is notorious for trying to...
Of course it was y'all Eastern Europeans, man. Y'all always be wilding with the hacking shit.
Target what they think might be an attractive couple that they can then expose.
The couple split up months after Duddy went...
Yeah, he's down bad. Is he even still... I wonder how he's doing right now. Is he even still in the is he still starting? I don't really be paying attention to fucking Yeah, he's not starting anymore. Cold world, man. Cold world. They leak your sex tape, and then you're not even starting no more.
Went viral during the 2023 NFL Draft. Cameras capturing her reactions as Levis kept getting passed over during the first round. The attention.
I mean, he should have saw that shit coming. That they kept passing him over, and he was kind of like tweaking a little bit.
Boost her profile on social media. Experts say high-profile couples like Levis and Duddy are common targets for hackers who take advantage of simple security mistakes.
90% of the time, it's something like a reused password. It's a phishing text that looked like it came from Apple.
He got one of those scam texts and shit.
Or a weak account. Recover email from 10 years ago.
But there are steps you can take to protect your personal data.
Make sure to use a password manager so that you stop reusing your passwords.
Yeah, this is the biggest sign, man. Make sure you stop using your passwords. Don't use the same password for every single thing, or else you might have your sex tape on fucking Pornhub or something. Even if you're an NFL quarterback, then you're gonna have to be paying some motherfucking like cybersecurity expert to help you out. But I'm gonna move on to something else, because if you've been on this channel, we were talking about the biolab that was in Las Vegas. Well, it turns out that one of the people that was in this apparent collaboration biolab between Israel and China, they completely dropped the case against one of the guys tied to this biolab. But maybe I should probably go back and give y'all a little always use a password manager and always use physical security keys. Yes, that's good. Nah, that's on point though, because you don't want to end up having your shit on fucking Pornhub and shit. Let's look at this shit. Let's look at this biolab that was found. Yeah, they say China linked biolab, but like the dude, there was also
Metro and the FBI have a joint investigation.
Yo, he was like falling asleep.
Underway tonight into an apparent biolab discovered inside a northeast Las Vegas home. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Steve Wolford. It all began early this morning when officers served a search warrant.
This was a couple months ago.
Washington.
They found a biolab that had Ebola, which is, we're going to talk about too, because Ebola is currently going downhill right now, and it's currently spreading all throughout Africa. And they're doing like new steps currently right now to secure U.S. airports. They found SARS. They found COVID strains inside there too, with a bunch of rats.
And Hollywood. News 3's Jane Davenport is there live now with the latest. Jane.
Steve, first responders and law enforcement have been on this scene for more than 16 hours today after investigators found evidence of biological material inside a home here on Sugar Springs Drive. I spoke with one neighbor who said he woke up to hear officers on a loudspeaker telling the suspect to exit the home. He shared this video.
There was a whole ass biolab just posted up in the suburbs, gang. What the fuck?
This was never seen anything like it before.
Andrew Wiggins has lived in this Northeast Valley neighborhood for 7 years. Saturday morning, his family woke up to loud bangs and police lights as Metro's SWAT team served a search warrant at a nearby house.
The warrant was related to information that a possible biological laboratory was inside of the residence.
A possible biolab, but it was like pretty obvious that it was a fucking biolab, but the amount of diseases and shit that they had stored in the garage is wild.
Kevin McMahill says investigators discovered a refrigerator that contained vials of unknown liquid.
It's scary. It's scary. We never know who you live next to.
This neighbor, who is choosing to remain anonymous, says he's concerned to hear the news. Like many others in the neighborhood, he says it's normally a quiet, family-friendly area.
We know most of our neighbors, like our immediate neighbors next to us, around us.
This shit was crazy as fuck.
This specific home, I don't know who lives there, and most of the neighbors that I've talked to.
It was like a trap house with Ebola. They were trapping out the Ebola bando.
When the daylight actually came, we've seen the SWAT officers with ladders going to the back of the house with guns.
Several units were on scene investigating and containing the area. The Evidence Response Team Unit, the Scientific Response Analysis Unit, and the Technical Hazard Response Unit all provided necessary resources and expertise to the investigation.
These highly trained and equipped teams perform reconnaissance and site characterization,
what y'all find
decontamination, and evidence collection in hazardous environments.
Responders in hazmat suits and specialized gear were in the area for hours as neighbors anxiously awaited answers to questions about their presence.
When they dropped off the porta potties, I knew that they were going to be here for a while.
But the news of a potential biological lab is now bringing even more questions to people living in the area.
I don't know if there really is something inside that house and we're this close to it.
Yeah, there
There's
was
a lot
something.
of questions that we have.
Let us know what was
that
in
need
there,
to be
gang.
answered. A lot of work that is ahead of us that
Damn,
needs
is this
to be
before?
done.
I need to see the actual
into
shit
the
because it's
suspected
kind of wild.
biolab operating inside a home in a residential neighborhood in Las Vegas. An arrest report on the property manager just released. The report suggests this operation may have been in the works for a while. Metro Sheriff Kevin McMahill breaks down what
if you and your circle aren't, finding strains of Ebola, SARS, and COVID, then y'all obviously not upgrading your lifestyle. I'm just saying.
Inside that garage here in Las Vegas.
Investigators observed multiple refrigerators, a freezer, and other laboratory type equipment,
Shit.
along with numerous bottles and jugs.
They just had it on the
containing
table,
unknown
too.
Liquid substances. Investigators observed one refrigerator that was still opening and wrapped in the household plastic wrap, along with the freezer that was plugged in and running. You'll see some of that in that video. When the refrigerator and freezer were opened, our investigators identified a significant volume of material, including various vials and storage containers with liquids of different colors and compositions.
Still a lot of questions tonight regarding this
there's a lot of fucking
operation
questions.
and the ongoing investigation.
But we have an update, by the way, in case y'all were wondering if there's any deadly diseases that leaked from this shit. And we're going to get
Will
into
Silverstein,
it.
you've been poring over that arrest report today. You joined us live from the live desk.
It was like an Israeli citizen and an Israeli national and a Chinese national that were
So
arrested.
what are you finding? What are you gleaning from
And
that
then Fox
arrest?
News says it was a Chinese biolab.
Well, we're getting a lot of answers, but we wanted to focus here on these three big questions. Number one, who is Ori Solomon? Who was that property manager? What was Solomon's relationship with the owners? And what has happened to those people living
they were just
inside
having
that
a
home
DIY
health-wise? Now, News 3
Ebola
in-depth
setup,
answers those
though.
questions for what we've learned in our reporting now.
Multiple refrigerators, red, brown, unknown liquids in gallon-sized containers, and refrigerated vials with unknown liquids.
That is what FBI and Las Vegas Metro teams uncovered over the course of a 3-day ground operation on a home off of Sugar Springs Drive in northeast Las Vegas. The FBI and Metro giving media an update on the investigation earlier this week, detailing their operation.
Resources were mobilized from across Clark County.
I wish they would just
City
say
of
what
Las
was
Vegas,
inside
as well
the
as our
house. It's
other
taking
state
so
and federal
long.
partners, to include some from outside of our region, to ensure that this operation could be conducted safely.
But several questions remain unanswered, including who is Ori Solomon? What was Solomon's relationship with the owners? And what has happened to people living inside that home? Well, let's start
They're
with
not
number
there.
one. Who is Ori Solomon? He is the property manager whose arrest report
This
arrived at
dude that was arrested, Ori Solomon.
our newsroom
Keep in mind
Tuesday
his
morning.
face because we're
In
going to
it, some
talk about
shocking
him.
details. Solomon is revealed to be an Israeli citizen, and based off of whistleblower statements to police.
An Israeli citizen that was posted up with a biolab in Las Vegas. Casual shit, man.
And what
Nothing
investigators
here
have
to
dug
see.
up, Solomon is estimated to manage approximately 37 Airbnbs and other short-term rentals. Among those short-term rentals, according to sources, is the house.
Yo,
in
this was an Airbnb. Imagine your Airbnb just has like a biolab inside of the fucking inside of the garage.
Springs.
He's 55 years old, and his initial charge was a charge of disposing and discharging hazardous waste.
That leads us to question number 2. What was Solomon's relationship with the owners? According to investigators, it is extensive. One of the property owners, Jibei Zhu, also known as David Herr, is currently locked up in a California prison awaiting trial for his alleged involvement in the Reedley lab. But being holed up does not stop contact between Zhu and Solomon. Zhu is believed to have made 6,945 calls.
6,000 calls?
467 of those calls have been to Solomon. Another 3,500 calls have been to Wang Xiaoyan, the other owner of the Sugar Springs home in Las Vegas. And according to that whistleblower, Wang is in China evading federal authorities and actively monitoring the garage lab in Las Vegas via security cameras. The Metro did not want to jump the horse about the possible contact to Solomon from Zhu when News 3 asked about the possible contact on Monday. Is there any indication that Mr. Zhu or Mr. He, depending on the alias that they go under, would have had any contact with Mr. Solomon?
I might just have to Google this shit, man. What was in Las Vegas Biolab? So in the biolab, they found some 1,200 samples that were too old to produce conclusive results. But in the Reedley case, which was also connected to similar, it was basically the Vegas garage was connected to a similar incident in Reedley, California, where officials found infectious agents such as HIV, malaria, dengue fever, and a bunch of pathogen labeled containers with over 1,000 mice. Gosh. They were moving on some devious time, man. COVID, pregnancy test chemicals. Yo, they were on some freaky ass shit. Well, turns out they got some new news on the guy that was the first guy that we found, the Israeli citizen who owned the place.
Well, the man arrested in connection with the biolab discovery in Las Vegas has had federal charges dropped. Earlier this month, the U.S. Attorney's Office...
Mysteriously, though, he has his federal charges dropped, and he only was charged with a gun charge.
Nevada filed a motion to dismiss the criminal complaint filed against Ori Solomon. He was taken to federal custody back in February after investigators conducted a raid on his Valley home. Officers found a refrigerator containing vials filled with unknown liquids. He was charged with disposing and discharging hazardous waste. Federal prosecutors had charged him with illegal possession of a firearm. An FBI complaint.
Well, I guess he didn't lose the case with disposing waste. They didn't drop that. They just dropped the gun charge.
States his immigration
Why the
status.
fuck do you have a gun and then you have malaria, HIV, and Ebola in your garage? I'm just
him
wondering.
from owning or possessing a gun. State-level charges against him remain ongoing in Las Vegas.
I guess it was only the federal charges that dropped.
Were you horrified?
Speaking of possible diseaseness, we got this interesting story where Joe Biden thought that Joe Biden was having a stroke in his debate with Donald Trump that caused him to drop out of the 2024 election.
Were you horrified as you saw it unfold?
I wasn't horrified, I was frightened. Because I had never, ever seen Joe like that.
Cap.
Before
Cap.
or since.
Cap.
Never.
Or since.
Yes.
Or since,
never
yeah,
seen
okay.
him like
Never.
that.
No.
What happened?
I don't know what happened. I mean, as I watched it, I thought, oh my God, he's having a stroke. And it scared me to death.
Yeah, she thought he was having a stroke. Too bad, man. Too bad.
This morning, Jill Biden opening up about her husband's infamous 2024 debate performance.
I was frightened because I had never, ever seen Joe like that before or since.
She says she feared her then 81-year-old husband was experiencing a medical condition.
I don't know what happened. I mean, as I watched it, I thought, oh my God, he's having a stroke. And it scared me to death.
During the debate, Biden often paused.
Yo, these motherfuckers are way too damn old. What are you talking about? For real. The fact that you can even think that we have one dude that was possibly having a stroke and another guy that maybe had a stroke a year or two after this event. Like, that's how you know these motherfuckers are way too damn old, man.
Stuttered and spoke incoherently.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look.
Yo, this was such a low point. This is such a fucking low point. I feel like this is when like a lot of people were probably tuned out of politics, and then the first thing you're seeing is, okay, there's going to be a presidential debate in 2024. And then this is what you're like. The Democrats refused. Well, I don't know if it was the Democrats or Joe Biden, I guess, because he's the leader of the Democrats at the time, refused to have an actual primary process before all this shit. And then he goes straight into this shit, cold turkey, raw dog off the motherfucking stroke gun.
Spoke incoherently.
Making sure that we're able
Saying
to make
shit
every
like
single
this.
solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with
dealing with.
Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Less than a month later, he dropped out of the race. He blamed his performance on being tired from traveling before the debate.
I was exhausted. I didn't listen to my instincts in terms of preparing.
Nah, bro, you were stroked out.
Jill Biden is speaking out now ahead of the release of her new book, View from the East Wing, a memoir. But her husband.
Everyone got a damn book, bro. Don't you think that you should have exposed this shit beforehand? That you thought your husband was having a stroke and shit? Like, in the middle of the debate?
Memoir released back in 2017 is also in the headlines. It's the subject of a
typical
new legal
Biden
battle.
family
the former
activity.
President sued the Justice Department this week to block the release of interview transcripts and hours of recordings with his ghostwriter for the memoir. The materials were obtained by the judge.
He had to block the release of the recordings because he didn't want to sound like how he did on the debate.
Justice Department during the investigation into Biden's handling of classified materials. No criminal charges resulted from the investigation, but critics want access to those recordings, claiming they could reveal more about Biden's cognitive abilities at the time.
Andrew Yang in 2020? That's a real throwback. I think about Andrew Yang sometimes. Didn't he wanted like universal basic income and shit. Yang gang, you already know, man. We Yang gang 2020. Yo, I feel like 2020 was an interesting time for candidates. We had Tom Steyer too, who currently is running for California governor, and I met the other day, but it's not looking good for him, man. The California governor's race, California politics is in a complete shithole right now. We're gonna get into some of that shit also. It's not looking good for California politics, to say the least.
Does not take action.
Even though
Those
he's not from
Andrew
Yang's not from California, but it was just interesting to think
they
about.
serve no public interest and says releasing them would violate Biden's privacy.
Yeah, I want to talk about California for a minute because we have the craziest shit going the fuck on right now. We currently got Spencer Pratt, this motherfucker who got his house burned down essentially, and he's basically saying that he wants to liquefy homeless people, unplug them, I guess was the words that he said. There was like a staged homeless encampment in a neighborhood over by me the other day because they wanted, many people think that it's possibly his campaign because that's what he's trying to run on.
In just 5 days, LA voters are picking their next mayor in Spencer Pratt.
We got a loopy ass motherfucking guy right here that may or may not be on meth or coke or some shit that's currently getting he's getting a lot of endorsements and a lot of funding from people out of state and out of the county, but people are making it seem like he's going up in momentum.
The commercial, shaking up the high stakes race, promising to root out crime, homelessness, and get those burned homes, including his own.
Crazy they didn't even put Ray Huang in this debate. It's kind of wild. They only put Nithya.
Now this is a story all about how
Bro always be putting these AI ads and shit. I don't know if y'all were watching yesterday. We saw the other video where he was doing the Not Like Us video.
upside down, and I had to take a minute to run for mayor. I'll tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel Air. Councilwoman Robin's plan for treatment first. I will go below the Harbor Freeway tomorrow with her, and we can find some of these people she's going to offer treatment for. She's going to get stabbed in the neck. Downtown.
Bro,
is so
he said
unsafe.
one of the candidates is going to get stabbed in the neck. Like, I don't know why Republican candidates are always like obsessed about like obscene amounts of violence basically going on, especially against their other candidates.
Now that they have to serve the food, all the employees have to eat inside. She doesn't care about safety. She doesn't care about anything she's talking about. At least Mayor Bass pretends to care.
And it just may be working for Pratt.
Yeah, bro received a lot of money donations, and there's allegations that people think that Karen Bass basically promoted him because it's LA at the end of the day. Bro's using AI ads and shit, and you know, Hollywood, you know, famously loves AI, right? So it's a lot of speculation that Karen Bass basically promoted Spencer Pratt because she's afraid of a challenger to her left, because of like the fact that she's also so fucking unpopular in the LA race. But it's like, this is what be going on in LA, California, man. Why can't we be like New York? Why can't we have like a good mayor? This is the closest thing that we have to Zoran, because she's like DSA endorsed and shit like that. But then she didn't even want to say that she's anything like Zoran. But I do see she has a lot of support driving around. Not that anecdotal evidence of yard signs and anything has anything to do with actual support. I wonder if there's any actual polls. But yeah, bro raised $2.7 million. Obviously, because of the MAGA industrial complex, he's trying to appease the MAGA voters. But a lot of these people are not even in LA County. And LA has like 2 to 3 in comparison between Republicans and Democrats. Like there's 2/3, I think, of voters, registered voters, are Democrats out here. Something that's crazy like that.
He's seeing a major boost in support.
But California primaries famously do a jungle primary system, which is annoying as hell. So it doesn't matter if, like, basically Nithya has to come in second or first for her to even be close to this. Because if you don't come into the 2 top spots, regardless of party, then you're basically locked out of the general election. So it's pretty important.
The incumbent mayor, Karen Bass, by nearly 10 times.
All right, the man himself, Spencer Pratt, joins us now. Spencer, thanks so much for joining us on the Kirby Couch.
If you don't know, this is a guy from the hills. We might have another celebrity running for office out here in California, where we had, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator, out here back when I was in elementary school, and we had the worst schools in the country. So obviously it's only up for here for having celebrity candidates and shit.
So blessed to be here.
So tell us about this rise, because no one saw you.
It's a fabricated rise.
So much to spare in LA, but you focus on the bread and butter issues. You're not talking high level, just brass tacks, clean streets, safety. Your house shouldn't be burned down.
Yeah, absolutely. Why I'm resonating across
the one place, oddly, that I've seen he has a lot of support whenever I'm driving through LA is the Pacific Palisades, where a bunch of the rich people's houses burned down and shit. But I don't know how the mayor, I mean, you can kind of prevent, but look at when you screenshot it, like, he just looks like a fucking dude that got bit by a zombie in The Walking Dead. Like, he's no soul behind those eyes.
Country, or even outside of the country, is because all I focus on is the truth. I'm the look around candidate. I do basics. I don't do national politics. I don't do parties. I just say,
dude, you're literally a Republican. What are you talking about?
To give it to drug addicts, to have needles and tourniquets, and they're actually even selling the drugs.
They're not selling the drugs. It's crazy too. You're allowed to lie on national TV.
To these addicts, to let these people die on our sidewalks. I want to be the compassionate.
They have clean needle programs so people don't die from hepatitis C.
Medical treatment with doctors to help them get off of fentanyl and super meth. And that is what people actually want.
Yeah, they got super meth out here.
Everybody wanted to believe the people that have been in charge, my opponents combined, are at almost 10 years of their experience. They are failures. And so people want an outsider that's not a politician, that's just saying the facts, the truth.
I don't know if people want that, honestly. Like, I don't know if people want an outsider that's never done politics before.
These people have failed us. They've spent all of our tax money to increase problems. And I keep it basic. And again, I never wanted to be the mayor. I just wanted somebody to tell the truth. And by telling the truth, now the people are behind me, and I will continue to speak the truth on behalf of Los Angeles for as far as they want to push me.
Now, Spencer, you've raised a lot of money, the most money between April 19th.
But also, he's like a whole celebrity, so it makes sense that you would be able to raise that much money. And a lot of the money, like I said, is not even from people within the county.
May 16th, like
or
a week
in the
ago.
state.
So Spencer has raised $2.72 million. Nithya, who is the progressive, she has raised $400,000, and then Karen Bass.
That's kind of interesting that Nithya was able to raise more than Karen Bass. I feel like she might actually win, but like that's not really it could be a sign that she's gaining support. We need to look at the polls to be sure, but it's kind of interesting.
Money. There are 3 of you in the race, and there could be a runoff.
But he definitely has a lot of wealthy donors.
And the polls are not showing that anyone is close to that.
Correct. So first off, the reason why all that money was raised, that was right after the debate. And they saw me destroy these 2 terrible politicians.
He said that one of these politicians would get stabbed in the neck under an overpass. And then people people really went out of their way and donated for this dude after that. It's like kind of the state of California politics right now.
For an hour straight, and everybody realized, oh, finally somebody telling the truth. So that's where all the money came from. And a lot of it's from all over the country because people forget over 50,000 people a year leave.
Like I said, it's from all over the country.
Los Angeles because it's so terrible.
First time ever. More people leaving than coming.
So these people see that I'm saying why they left. So they're trying to get me elected so they can move back. That's what people are missing. These are
A
actually
lot of MAGA people left. They want to come back.
Angelinos that got forced out of this city that Mayor Bass has destroyed. And that's why they're donating, because they want me to be mayor so they can.
The one
move
thing
back.
that's interesting about his campaign is just the fact that he's interesting as a guy. Like, he's a fucking weird, like when you zoom in on his face, like I said before, he's soulless, but he has a lot of energy, which is a complete contrast. The only thing that I know Karen Bass for is having a perfectly shaped rotund afro that's like always on point, always picked out, always looking good. But I think Nithya, I would say overall, probably has the most support if I were to guess.
Because LA is incredible when you don't let drug addicts take over the street and make moms and kids scared to go.
And
to
he drops
parks
hella
and school.
AI ads and shit like
This
that.
is the truth. And that's, again, it's a look around.
What about the runoff? Sorry, can I just get that second part of the question?
Yeah, I have a feeling God wants me just to win
Hell no.
with 51%.
Hell no. God does not want you to win with 51%. Yo, there's a racist ass bar near me, and they're having a Spencer Pratt watch party for the election on June 2nd, man. Make sure y'all pray for LA. We need to put that on a shirt or some shit, man. We cannot make this fucking mistake. Please.
I believe it's a low
please,
turnout
Netanyahu.
election, and that's why
Don't let us get Spencer Pratt as a
couch
mayor.
To remind everybody to get your ballots in.
Like, look at bro. He has to be on opiates. He don't look right.
Today, don't
Them
wait till
crystals
June 2nd,
hitting
because
different.
We will definitely win if everyone who's as angry as me in Los Angeles just goes and votes, and they don't just share things on social media or tell their friend they're angry. They physically go vote, and they don't have to wait till June 2nd. A lot of people are concerned about.
Yo, this reminds me,
elections,
I
you
gotta
gotta
fucking
in
vote.
person.
I gotta
No,
vote.
you vote
They
today.
sent my
You put it in
ballot to the wrong
mailbox, you
house.
drop it in the ballot box. We win with the most votes, and a lot of people again in California are concerned about election fraud. We can always outvote cheating, period, and we can do that. Literally,
Are people really concerned about election fraud out here?
in the next 5 days with just moms alone and animal lovers, because I'm also going to stop the abuse of these dogs on the streets and these alleged no-kill shelters that are killing thousands of dogs. I'm going to stop that as well. So,
I mean, the no-kill shelter shit is kind of crazy, but it's no reason to vote for this fucking tweaker,
animal
man.
lovers and moms, we're beating any cheating.
Why
that
moms,
people
though?
say could happen.
I remember how angry you were when your house burned down. Nothing was getting done. Everyone's wondering, who's Spencer Pratt? Like, is this guy really going to run? And next thing you know, you're in. And I thought, wonder if he's going to get any traction. Then I listened to you with Joe Rogan, 3.5 hours, deep on issues.
I mean, he's the only Republican, so it makes sense that he's getting hella traction when the progressive vote and then the Democratic centrist vote are basically split between two different candidates. Then you got the even more progressive vote with Ray Huang. And
he's
this
from
dude's
the
getting
area,
all
so
this
he knows
airtime
you're
from
right
AI
on his
ads
issues. He
saying
knows the
crazy
problems.
shit.
But I couldn't, when I was done listening, I didn't know if you were a Republican, independent, or a Democrat. Rick Caruso seems like a Republican, but ran as a Democrat. How are you running?
Yeah, thankfully it's a nonpartisan race, so I don't have to be either. I have probably.
What are you?
I'm a registered Republican, but my supporters are all Democrats because Los Angeles is all Democrats.
Who says that? How do you know that?
All the people financing me are Democrats. All the meetings I take every day are Democrats. Democrats are very angry with what happened to Los Angeles. They were fed a bunch of lies by Mayor Bass, who said she was going to literally solve homelessness. She was going to do all these things she didn't do. So all of the people that put her actually in office are now behind me. So it's a nonpartisan race. There's no letter next to either of our names because the mayor is not supposed to represent a party. They're supposed to make sure your moms are safe, your houses don't burn down, and your tax money is going to your infrastructure, not to fund drug addicts. So thankfully,
I mean, it wasn't funding drug addicts. How are you supposed to solve a homeless problem without actually funding that shit? It doesn't make any
Republicans that love
sense.
me. I have Democrats that love me. I have independents that love me. Even some socialists message me and they're like, hey, don't be
That
so
is
mean
not
to
true.
us. We like you too. I'm like,
That is cap. That is cap. Cap.
I don't mess with
Unless it's like
socialists.
ACP or some shit.
Yeah, we got one here.
Yeah.
You know,
no comment on that. Good luck.
Your movement is palpable. And sometimes we get a little jaded because we see this movement that's happening online.
Dude, they're glazing the fuck out of this guy.
Here on the
like a
ground
glazed
in
donut.
LA. I guess the big question, I saw that mom yesterday that talked about her daughter being out there strung out on drugs, and that's why she was going to vote for you, because you're going to end that. But how are you going to make sure that the energy that we see online is going to be the people that go pick up that ballot? Like, do you have buses? Do you have strategy?
You're gonna bust people out? You're gonna pull an Elon method and like pay people to vote for you?
People get to the polls?
I can only do my part and pray that everybody shows up and votes. I obviously have anything a campaign has, ground teams, door knockers. But at the end of the day, this is why I'm here, to remind people you gotta vote. You gotta do your
Well, we got
part.
6 days. Man, if you a Spencer Pratt fan, stay home, please. There's nothing happening on June 2nd. It's all good. It's go to work. Don't worry about it. We got it covered.
Everyone needs to vote. A lot of people I talk to, even my close friends, that love me. I'm like, did you vote? And they're like, oh, I don't know how. So we just need, you'd be shocked. A lot of people just have given up because we've had 22 years of failed policies in LA. They don't think they can be changed.
So I want you to hear, one of your opponents is Nithya Raman, considered more left than
This is who they're afraid of.
Karen Bass. This is what she said about you.
And then you have this person who is this kind of reality TV star who has these pronouncements that I will solve it. We have a moment when that message can have a lot of purchase, and that is really scary to me, because I don't think there is there's the experience to actually deliver on results.
So that woman has had, I think, almost 5 years. She's been the chair of the homeless housing department for the last 3 years. The drug addicts that are attacking moms that are naked in front of kids, that is on her and Mayor Bass.
Is there actual time where these quote unquote drug addicts have actually attacked moms naked?
This is a woman who fought in her own district for moms that didn't want drug addicts selling drugs, being naked in front of kids in front of the school. She's fighting them on camera, saying there's no difference between 1 foot and 500 feet to have naked drug addict encampments in front of kids. So when these people talk, you're literally listening to a lunatic.
And she's to fund the police, too.
Yo, it's so funny that they have, of course they choose. The picture choice is so wild. They try to get the Fox News viewers like, shit. We got the fucking Red Scare, Hamill Sickle photo right here with Nithya Raman, the evil socialist.
She's not even going to be a conversation. We should just focus on Bass. She, after the debate, the betting apps, she went from 65%.
Oh, the betting apps.
To, I think she's at 5%. She's so irrelevant that.
Man, if you want Kalshi, then I would bet on Nithya. Like, I don't know. I need to actually look at the polls, but I swear that I've seen more actual support like for her. The only place that I've ever seen support for Spencer Pratt is in Pacific Palisades.
Should just focus on Bass.
I want to ask you, we show all these images of you and Heidi standing in the rubble that used to be your house. And
Heidi
I
Montauk.
watched you on the hills, and the hills, and then I saw on Instagram after the fires all these videos of you, and then I was so excited when you finally said, I'm going to run, I'm going to do something about this, because you couldn't get permits. First, I want you to tell us, what did you go through? Like that, walk us through what we're seeing. That has to be devastating.
Why
devastating.
shit?
And you said
We got that
you
shit
knew
that just
someone
went
that
off and I
burned
didn't even
to death
get
in
nothing.
their house because of this. Your parents lost their house, and this is what led you to run. Where are y'all on the permit stages? What will you do?
Yeah, Pacific Palisades. They never bring up Altadena. I always talk about that shit. You need to bring up Altadena because all these people in these neighborhoods that lost their house, it does suck, but they were already rich as fuck and are able to rebuild.
Do if you win to make sure the Palisades are rebuilt?
The Palisades is going to be a long time. I don't like to sugarcoat. This is going to be, for some people, it'll be never.
I mean, a lot of it has to do with insurance. A lot of it has to do with Donald Trump withholding funds and shit. There's a lot of reasons why they have to jump through hoops. And it's not a good thing, arguably, that people, so many houses, I think even in the Palisades, like 5,000 houses burned down in January of last year. And then Altadena, which was a historically black neighborhood where they literally redlined black people to stay in. All their houses, a bunch of houses there burned down, and it took long as hell to rebuild. Some of them haven't still rebuilt. So,
because a lot of people,
but
were
a lot of
senior
that shit has to do
citizens,
with
they
the
were
insurance.
underinsured. A lot of people are fighting their insurance companies that aren't
Like I
paying
said.
out what they should be. So that's just a tragic failure on Mayor Bass and, of course, Gavin Newsom State Park. But, of course, I'm going to work with the Palisades and try to build faster. That is not coming back.
But Lee Zeldin is working from the administration to help out. Is he?
He can.
Yeah, we got
do
Lee
anything
Zeldin in charge of this shit.
He wants, but
taking
for a lot
his
of people,
damn
they're not coming
time.
back because that's 7,000 homes Mayor Bass burned down right now.
This dude makes it seem like Karen Bass, as much as I don't like her, bro makes it seem like she literally went and committed arson herself. Even though she was arguably kind of like asleep at the wheel when she was in Ghana or some shit during these fires. But bro literally says Karen Bass burned these houses down personally.
You could sell, but there's 6,000 dirt lots. It's not a
Who's
market.
gonna
You're
buy
not,
there?
you know, you're buying into. So as much as I love to be positive and I'm going to do best I can as a mayor, the reality is a lot of these people are now, they don't get to come back because of Mayor Bass. And that is, again, part of my anger.
But
that
you
I
just
channel
blamed
into
the insurance companies. So how is it Mayor Karen Bass's fault that they can't come back because they can't build their houses? It's just kind of interesting how that works.
And I got into this race to
Not that I fuck
expose
with Karen
the
Bass,
failures
though.
that made it so
I
there
don't.
is no feel good end of the, happy ending with this. It's a tragedy that out of 7,000 people, maybe 600 houses are in the works, and in over 18 months, maybe 9 houses have been built. So when they say there's record building,
BS.
Not reality.
So
I have driven over there and I have seen some houses being built. I don't know if 9 is really accurate. There is a lot of spots, specifically in Malibu, where there's still houses that are burned the fuck down. But obviously, I feel like that has to do with the insurance, if anything.
1 week you could be mayor. In 1 week you could be mayor.
You could what?
Expensive.
I mean, not really. You have to win the special election. Basically, you have to get 51% or 50%. Really, 51% of the vote, which I don't think is gonna happen. That would be crazy as fuck. If this dude gets 50% of the vote, I don't know what I would do. That would be like the opposite of a miracle. It would be a nightmare.
Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you. Thank
God
you.
bless
Are you
you.
gonna leave?
God bless you.
I don't know.
Yeah, we usually read you out.
Oh, okay. So let's talk about the polls of the governor race, because I think new polls just came out, and these are the first new polls that basically came out in a while, because the last polls were at the beginning of May. These might be the last polls that come out before the actual gubernatorial primary, which happens in the same day as the mayor race.
And now to Decision 2026, a new poll reveals the leading candidates in the race for governor.
Yeah, there's still a lot that can happen.
If I were to
between now and
guess, I would say that it's probably Becerra for some reason, because Californians, like, they make it seem like California is so damn liberal, and it is liberal, I would say, but is it progressive? That's yet to be seen, because it seems that California voters love the dude that's funded by Chevron, Meta, all types of basically companies. Motherfucker funded by damn Arby's and shit. Insurance companies, health insurance companies, pretty much like evil ass corporations funded this dude's campaign. But for some reason, after knowing all this, Californians are still have Becerra up in the polls.
Tuesday that can
hopefully
sway
it's
people's
different.
minds or change their minds. And NBC4's Michelle Vyas is here with these new results. Hi, Michelle.
Adrian, Lynette, good morning. Good morning, everyone. The new poll was released by the Public Policy Institute of California. We have 2 candidates with more than 20% of the vote. One's a Democrat, one's a Republican. Democrat and former Health and Human Services Secretary.
Yo, they got Tom Steyer looking crazy in this. Yo, it's wild too that Katie Porter did not drop out. All those other people, though, we don't even know about. If y'all were tuned in, we saw a bunch of people. They don't have Matt Mahan on this list either. Matt Mahan was polling really low. A lot of Democrats that were in this shit could have dropped out, but I feel like they specifically didn't. Like, if I'm Katie Porter, I don't think I have any chance. Like, you were never once even close to even being first, second, or third in this. You're losing to Chad Bianco. God damn it, drop out of the race so we can have some single payer health care. Like, holy shit. Is it that hard?
Becerra out in front with 23%.
But he's leading for the first poll over Steve Hilton, Epstein file alumni, Republican in 20%. Chad Bianco, Oath Keeper, white supremacist at 13% over Katie Porter.
Republican and former Fox News commentator Steve Hilton at 20%. Tom Steyer, the billionaire hedge fund manager, who is now an environmental activist, in third,
get up there.
with 15% of that poll there. While Riverside County Sheriff Republican Chad Bianco and former Orange County Representative Katie Porter rounded out the top 5.
Man,
with
y'all got to
13 and
drop
12%.
out.
So the poll was conducted 10 days ago, and a lot could have happened or may still happen.
It's such a crowded race. It's kind of interesting, man. These Democrats, Katie Porter, man, she really just didn't want Tom Steyer there. She didn't. I don't know why. You're not even close, gang. You're in last in all these top 5.
There is less than a week to go until Tuesday's primary. 122 vote centers are now open in LA County. Then on Saturday, more than 500
Make sure y'all vote,
additional
man. Make sure
centers
y'all vote.
will be open. So there's a lot more options for voters. The LA County Registrar Recorder's Office says as of yesterday, there you go.
They sent my vote by mail ballot to the wrong
450,000
fucking
vote by
place.
mail
Place
ballots
is crazy.
have been
Place
returned.
is crazy.
So election officials are reminding everyone to vote early and, of course, to take time to go over your ballot. Today, San Bernardino County will open more early voting locations as well, and that includes the Victoria Gardens Cultural Center in Rancho Cucamonga. It is one of 9 locations where you can vote in person or drop off your ballot in ahead of the election day on Tuesday.
So,
find your nearest voting.
we got some new breaking news. I guess there's some type of deposition happening with Pam Bondi right now.
Tomorrow, Pam Bondi will be facing.
Oh, tomorrow she's about to be grilled for the Epstein investigation. And she also has cancer from dick riding Trump too hard, thyroid cancer, sucking that radioactive dick. And she's going to face Epstein survivors. Let's see.
Serious questions when she meets with the House Oversight Committee behind closed doors about the Epstein
Oh, it's closed
investigation.
doors, no
A Democrat
camera.
on the committee says it will be transcribed, but has called for her to testify under oath and on camera. My next guest has made the same plea.
They always do the Epstein shit for Democrats and Republicans. They have done a lot of these Epstein investigations and Epstein depositions straight up, like not even not live in 4K or anything like that. It's kind of weird,
Joining
honestly.
us now, the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, Democratic Congressman Robert Garcia of California. I'm wondering what the pros and cons are. We know what you would like to see happen. Why do you think that's important? And what's the argument you're getting from the chairman?
Well, the chairman hasn't actually addressed it. Let's be clear. There is no reason that we should not videotape the entire transcribed interview from the former attorney general. This is an incredibly important moment for the Epstein investigation. Pam Bondi has a lot to answer for. Why are only 50% of the files released? Why were the names of survivors, as we know, docs, and really...
Keep in mind, the Pam Bondi, like, only 50% of the files have been released, and no one has really been prosecuted for this shit. Meanwhile, we got Trump using the Department of Justice to go against his rape accuser, E. Jean Carroll, that basically just dropped today. So it's just kind of wild how this is going. I thought he was going to drain this swamp,
put
though.
in danger. Many of them were put in danger during this process. Why still has there been no real information about the president's name, which was put in and then removed, and the files were moved around? There's so many questions for the attorney general. And this idea that Republicans don't want to release the interview as an actual video to the public, which they, of course, have done on all these other interviews recently, is crazy. And it really leads to
Hillary Clinton's kind of wasn't released. I mean, it was a little bit released after the fact. I'm sure someone's going to release the footage or leak that shit. But it is kind of weird why they don't put that out in 4K. Let it be seen.
Coordinated cover-up. We're looking forward to the interview, but it needs to be released to the public.
Well, while you're advocating for it to be on camera, we've seen Pam Bondi, let's say, contentious in live settings when the cameras are rolling.
The Dow.
I just want to remind folks, here are some exchanges from her last.
The Dow was over 50,000.
Why? I have asked. Didn't she ask Merrick Garland this?
I am reclaiming my time, and when I
will
reclaim my
continue to
time,
answer.
it
No,
is
the
gentleman
is I'm not going to get in the gutter for her theatrics.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer
Dude,
the question.
she was dick riding and dick eating Trump so hard it got her thyroid cancer and this shit.
Theatrics are ridiculous. Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
Red-handed.
This is what Thomas.
One redaction.
This was the moment Thomas Massey fucked up, man. When he went this hard, this is when he lost his shit. He lost his primary right here.
Where he's listed as a co-conspirator.
And we invited you in. This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician.
So I think it's fair to say not a lot was learned. Do you have any hope, any expectation that if there is a closed door setting, if the cameras aren't rolling, maybe she changes her approach, maybe it produces more answers?
Well, look, she needs to answer our questions. And at the end of the day, she's no longer the attorney general. And so this is an opportunity for her to be honest, to come clean, to give us the facts so that we can understand why there has been this consistent cover-up. Why did the president call this investigation a hoax?
I don't know why we're wondering this, because he's in the Epstein files.
Why have there been
He's
no
a fucking
convictions?
pedistress.
And why is 50% of the files still not released to the public? So these are fair questions. These are questions that Democrats have, and there are some Republicans that have joined us to also push for these answers. We are once again
Thomas Massey, you
demanding
better go hard with this shit. Let's talk about Cuba real fast.
We don't like war. We don't see conflict.
Apparently,
with
the
United
U.S.
States.
military is in preparations to invade Cuba. But what they don't tell you is Cuba is apparently not going to be like Venezuela. They're not going to roll over and they're going to fight. And they said they will defend itself to the end.
We hope it is prevented because we don't see any reason why Cubans and Americans should die. Because there would be thousands of deaths if there is an aggression, and there will be a lot of destruction. And it doesn't have any sense, so.
When you say Americans shouldn't die as well, what is it that Cuba is prepared to do? I mean, President Diaz-Canel has said...
The fuck do you mean? We're wild, bro. We'll literally have Cuban officials on and be like, we're going to invade your country. They say Americans shouldn't die for trying to invade our country. And they're like, what do you mean? What do you mean Americans shouldn't die?
That Cuba will respond if there's U.S. military action. He said, we'll defend ourselves. If we need to die, we'll die. Is Cuba prepared to strike U.S. targets if there's U.S. military action?
They literally said they'll defend themselves and be willing to die over their country. And they're like, but are you going to strike U.S. targets? Imagine a drone strike in fucking like Miami, Florida. That would be wild.
So I'm sure that the American people, who is about to celebrate in a little bit more than a month, 250th anniversary of its independence, will perfectly understand why Cubans are determined to defend our independence and not to have any foreign power to tell us what to do and how to do.
The Trump administration is literally like Hollywood right now. They just keep trying to do the same shit over and over again. We got sequels, set of new ideas. Bay of Pigs Part 2, the sequel out here. Nah, fuck healthcare. That shit overrated. Let's just try to invade Cuba for a quick W.
This is the same sentiment, the same feeling you have for your independence that Cubans have for our independence, and we are determined to defend it because we cherish our independence.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now, or even better, start a monthly contribution today.
Let's figure out why.
I would have said a few months ago.
Nah, I'm trying to see. Is Cuba next?
We have a lot going on in the world right now, frankly, with foreign policy. Let's talk about Cuba now. You know, this week the administration indicted former President Raul Castro. He's 94 over these murders.
Dude, they only indict and try to take out the old ass leaders. Like, he's not even a current leader. He's just a leader as being like representative of the Cuban Revolution. But bro's 94 years old, gang. Y'all don't think that eventually, like, He's not a young man. Y'all wait until he's on his deathbed for this shit is
Murder
wild.
charges connected to shooting down 2 American planes. This is back in the 1990s. Do you think that Castro could essentially end up in a U.S. courtroom?
Well, that's a big question.
You're gonna wheel him in on a wheelchair?
Obviously, we saw what happened with Maduro down in Venezuela, and everybody's looking at that as a case study. With that said, the Cubans know that we'd like to do something like that, so they're going to take extraordinary measures to hide him, to keep him from being vulnerable to that type of special operation. And it would be a different sort of thing. We don't have the array of forces sitting off the coast of Cuba that we had with Venezuela, although we did put a carrier task force into the region, which says a lot about our commitment, sitting somewhere in and around Cuba. So it's got everybody thinking about that. Of course, the other side...
Imagine if we just let these countries thrive and like actually let them, do their thing and not have to sit and be under U.S. sanctions and embargoes for years and shit like that. Or does that make too much sense?
Two is Cuba literally is 90 miles from the U.S., so we can actually, and we have a fairly significant base at Key West, Florida, so we could theoretically launch a special operations strike from U.S. soil into Cuba. That's well within the realm of what's possible. But Cuba's watching for this. Certainly, the Chinese and the Russians have large intelligence.
In the last interview, they said Cubans are willing to fight till the death for this island. So
collection.
And it was crazy. They said Cuba is willing to fight to the death for this island. And then the interviewer was really like, are you willing to attack U.S. targets? The fuck you think they're trying to do? They're trying to defend themselves.
Activities on the island, and they're watching for this. So it'd be very difficult to basically seize him and take him to a U.S. courtroom. Theoretically,
and he's
possible,
fucking 90 years
I think
old.
This
gang.
is more just to make a statement and to use mostly as a negotiating point with the Cubans to come to some sort of arrangement on a broader range of issues outside of that. Although,
and the U.S. is pressuring Cuba like crazy. Basically, this is something that happened yesterday.
By the way, but pretend I didn't say that, please. Pretend I didn't say that. Please.
Pretend I didn't say that. Cuba's next after we fucked up the global oil supply in Iran and the Strait of Hormuz. At the same time, we're going to try to go after Cuba.
Please. Please.
Is Cuba next?
Well, it depends on what your definition of military action is.
Look, Cuba's calling us. They need help. I am very prone toward the Cuban Americans. They have family members in Cuba. They've been treated very, very badly.
All this shit is more than just for, it's, as you can tell with the Iranian situation, this isn't for any type of liberation or like liberal democracy values or anything like this. There's pretty much crazy lobbies in South Florida, like the sugarcane lobbies, and just like very powerful, like pro-democracy groups in South Florida with reactionary Cubans that basically want this. And Trump also just wants a W, and they want to be able to use the island as like, I mean, Trump famous for using islands for very moral purposes. They're trying to just use it for like a resort island or something.
They've been treated extremely badly.
Build a Trump pedal resort on that
so
bitch.
That's not going to be hard for us to solve.
Cuba's in a lot of trouble because, unfortunately, for them, it's run by a bunch of incompetent communists. And being communist is bad. Being an incompetent communist is like the worst. So we'll be talking to them. We'll be working on it. You know, we want something good for the Cuban people, and hopefully there'll be a good outcome there. For
Man, they want something good for the Cuban people, so we're gonna starve y'all and make sure there's no oil that's coming into your island and shit. You know, because we're here for the Cuban people.
It's 90 miles from our shores, and having a failed state 90 miles from our shores is a threat to the national security of the United States.
Secretary of State Marco
Knowing
Rubio
Morning Joe, he's probably going to be like all for
President
this
Trump
shit.
From over the past few weeks, both previewing the potential for U.S. intervention in Cuba. Those comments come as new reports from Axios reveal the White House is preparing for the possible collapse of Cuba's regime as early as this summer. Joining us now, the author of that piece, White House reporter from Axios, Mark Caputo. So, Mark, do we have a sense of, I mean, this seems to be gaining on us in terms of timing of when they might make a move?
Yeah, there's an amount of pressure that's being applied that no one's ever seen before from the United States toward Cuba. And recently, last month, the SOUTHCOM, Southern Command, that oversees military operations in the Caribbean, held what's called a joint agency or interagency task force or tabletop exercise, where they war-gamed out different scenarios. And
Of
in
course
those
they did.
discussions, they talked about, among other things, two things, one of which we'd reported before, the potential drone threat from Cuba.
Yeah, they were trying to say that Cuba is trying to hit Miami with drones. So if there's a fucking false flag or something, watch out, man. Don't get hit by a fucking bootleg Shahad drone going down Biscayne Boulevard.
Cuba has acquired drones and the possibility of an incident and problem occurring in the summer. Understand that the United States has essentially taken over trade toward Cuba. It has restricted fuel, or oil does not come into Cuba anymore, in part because Cuba has no money. And therefore, there's barely any electricity. People can't keep cool. They can't keep food cool. There's no refrigeration. And in South Florida and then south of me here in Miami, in Havana, in June, it starts to get really hot. In July, it starts to get really hot. And
They're trying to kill these people.
11th of 2022, there were massive protests in the heat against the regime because people felt that it wasn't meeting their needs. The economy was in collapse. It was post-COVID as well. And the regime brutally repressed the protesters, the demonstrators, and jailed a lot of people. This time, some of these exercises that the U.S. military has begun to examine is what would happen if the U.S. intervened in the case that the president decided to go in and protect people who are being
Probably
repressed
some
from
bootleg shit similar to Iran. They said they're willing to fight to the death. So, I mean, it would be pretty unpopular, I guess, in my opinion. Speed run collapse of the U.S. empire. We talked about it earlier. It's really giving Rome. We got the pedopalooza going on the 250th anniversary of the U.S. with the UFC fight out there in D.C. We got a war going on thousands of miles away, and they're trying to open another front 90 miles away from Florida.
the regime. And that's where the possibility, again, it's the possibility, not the probability, of U.S. military intervention starts to really come to the fore, and is something that they've examined.
So, Mark, with the indictment,
Pentagon
Castro
puts building blocks in place for a Cuba invasion. This is crazy, gang.
A lot of people
Why are
saw
we doing all
a
this?
pattern that we saw in Venezuela. Indict Maduro, get him out, for past crimes, get him out of the country, install new leadership. America controls the new leadership. But you say in the piece that Cuba, despite this indictment of Castro, is a little bit of a different story. How are they different?
There's three major differences between Cuba and Venezuela. To begin with, in Venezuela, when the operation was beginning in the summer of 2025.
Also, too, one of the major differences between here and Venezuela is they don't have a second in command that they could give the authority to in the country and not try to arrest, to try to give power to. So
Trump administration.
good luck with that. Not that our country is known for planning too well in the last couple of years.
Delcy Rodriguez, the vice president for Maduro at the time, who's now the leader of Venezuela, and start to kind of figure out, okay, who would take over if Maduro were removed, and removed either that he left or that he was killed or that he was snatched. Obviously, he wound up being snatched on January 3rd. And what would that look like? Because it was sort of a vertical power structure where they could do that. And they had a competent person who was able to run it. Here, the United States can't really find that in Cuba. And that brings us to sort of point two. Outside of there being no Delcy, they haven't really identified a Delcy yet, or as one of the advisors said, Delcy lights or people who are Delcy-ish. You have the fact that Cuba's power structure is just different. It doesn't have that vertical structure. And so if you remove Raul Castro, who's 94, it's not really going to do much. And that sets aside the fact that getting him is going to be complicated. And then the third factor is Cuba has and is subject to a U.S. embargo that was codified into U.S. law in 1996. Venezuela didn't have that. It had sanctions that were imposed by the executive branch. So any changes in governance that happen in Cuba and any attempt to lift sanctions or the embargo can't really happen unless Congress signs off on it or three very specific rules.
I wonder if the fact that they have been sanctioned and had an embargo for so long, also they had to basically develop military technology, in a homegrown In a homegrown way, similar to Iran, plays a role in this too.
Are met. They have to free political prisoners. They have to have free elections, and they have to guarantee other civil rights. It's a much more complicated nut to crack in Cuba than in Venezuela.
Tough nut to crack, gang. You already know what's going on. We got some other fucked up news, but the Trump, hey, I had to talk to my dog. She was tweaking. Trump admin is trying to halt customs operations at LAX because of the fact that it's a sanctuary city, and not just LAX, but any sanctuary cities. They're going to try to stop flights from going out also from a lot of these places.
News that could shake up air travel for international passengers. Homeland Security Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen is renewing his threat to stop customs processing at airports in sanctuary cities, including here in LA.
Our Conan Nolan is live now in the newsroom with more.
That's crazy.
Playing out here, Conan.
That's right.
You're not going to be able to fly internationally, possibly.
Has long been opposed to sanctuary cities, and now there's this effort to figure out a way to get cities such as Los Angeles,
all because they don't fuck with immigrants,
immigration
man.
And customs enforcement taking international away from the international airport. At today's presidential cabinet meeting, the new Secretary of Homeland Security excoriated those who protested outside an ICE detention facility recently in New Jersey, alluding to the local sanctuary laws.
The local police literally refusing to respond.
You're going to love this Gestapo shit, or we're going to fuck up your airports, and we're going to throw your neighbors in the gulag. Maybe even send them to an El Salvadorian prison.
DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen says he has a new way to force cities to cooperate with immigration and customs enforcement.
Some of these cities have international airports. If they're a sanctuary city, should they really be processing customs into their city? And we're asking them to partner with us at the airport, but once they walk out of the airport, they're not going to enforce immigration policy.
So you're saying that big cities that are sanctuary cities that have a big airport, they might lose their customs?
Well, I'm saying we're going to have to start prioritizing things.
According to The Atlantic, Mullen has moved forward with the plan, having privately met with some airline and travel executives where he suggested customs operations would be cut back or eliminated at airports such as LAX, that the rollout would take place after next month's World Cup. Nick Miroff is a staff writer with
if you're at the World Cup, you're about to be
the travel
cooked.
Executives have
if you got a flight,
that the economic
or they
fallout from
doing this after
would be enormous, and it would potentially cause a lot of chaos at the airports they're seeking to target.
Just this afternoon, GOP Congressman Kevin Kiley, who represents much of California's northern Sierra, sent a letter to the DHS secretary opposing the idea.
That would be very
it's something if
California.
Even the Republicans oppose this shit.
That I represent. I'm against sanctuary policies. I think that we need to find a solution to that issue as a country, but that solution is not, creating huge disruptions for millions of people and economies all across the country.
Asked about the plan to de-internationalize California's major airports, Governor Gavin Newsom today appeared resigned to yet another court battle.
Look, I mean, there's no rules anymore with the Trump administration, and
pretty much,
and we have to be prepared for everything.
A few people we've talked to from the various airports in California have referred to this idea as madness. Of course,
yeah, it's pretty fucking stupid. Honestly, it makes no damn sense whatsoever. You're just gonna stop the airports from being international?
No city that
Does that even make sense?
More than Los Angeles, considering the Summer Olympic Games will be here in 2028. I'm Conan Nolan, NBC4 News.
They're just trying to fuck up the economy every single way that they can, but you already know what the fuck going on, man. Crash out economics. That's pretty much all I got for today, Ski. And make sure you sub up, gang. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you're on YouTube. I appreciate all y'all niggas tuning in and shit. Yes, sir, Ski. We up, man. And yeah, I'm gonna be back at it tomorrow and every day this week because we always got this news.